Started. All right, welcome. Hey, welcome to day one of your Inspired Sale class. And I know a lot of you are thinking, wait a minute, day one, we've been doing this for 5 weeks. What are you talking about? Well, everything that you've done up until this point is actually just prerequisite work for this week. This week is where we're going to hopefully make everything come together and make a lot of sense out of each one of the individual pieces that we've talked about. So I am anxious to get started. And in order to do that, what I'd like to do is I'd kind of like to go around the room and ask, what are your expectations for this week? So I want you to answer this in two ways. First of all, if you had to go out right now and you had to go run a sales appointment, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident would you be in going out and running that appointment? So simple number, I feel like I'm an 8, I feel like I'm a 6, I feel like I'm a 2, whatever. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel like you are to go run an appointment right now? The second question is, in order to move that number up, what do you feel like you need to get out of this week? So I really want to make sure that your time is not wasted this week. And I want to make sure that everybody's confidence level just absolutely goes off the chart this week. So in order to do that, what do you feel like you need to get out of this week? So Patrick, let me start with you. Where do you feel like you are? And what do you feel like would be the biggest thing to help you move that confidence needle up?
All right. I think that controlling the situation, being competent on with the tablet, going through the whole process, and not fumbling through, trying to work with that tablet and just be real comfortable with it, and then able to show the price right away and the product they love.
So I missed the first part of that. What, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say?
Oh, 1 to 10. I didn't say that. I would say right now 7. Where I'm comfortable being there. I'm comfortable discussing the product. I just want to be more comfortable with like the computer, tablet, and that situation, and getting that price out there, and controlling the situation as far as going through the process of all
Nice.
8 different things we talk about.
Nice. All right, John, how about you?
I'm going to give it a 4, and I want more product, that, knowledge and everything else. I want measuring, which is really, something I've got to do a heck of a lot quicker than what I'm doing. And as far as the closing and all of that, I'm very confident in that. It's just that getting edits and the proposals and things like that, I just need to be really tuned into it. And I've got about 12 ride-alongs right now, the way things shook out from the beginning. So that's going to increase dramatically. But this week, I'm looking for SEAL Teams Buds training. That's what we're in for.
Good. Let's see, Armando.
I'm gonna say a 5, and not because I'm not confident about meeting the customer, but I have found myself struggling with actually picking the actual items that let's say the customer say, I love this tile, for example, that happened to me, and I just not being able to find it in the tablet and being able to actually give them a proposal with the right price. That was a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I want to get out of here is like, how can I overcome that when I can really find the price so I can give them a proposal right there when they're in front of me?
Nice. Let's see, how about Timothy?
I was having some trouble with volume, so I'm not sure I heard the initial question.
So what I would ask is, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you had to go run an appointment right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in just going and running it? Not necessarily landing it, but how confident are you in just going and running an appointment and being able to show a customer a price? And then the second half of that question is, what is the number one thing that would move that confidence needle up for you this week?
Well, I've had the opportunity to do 3 or 4 myself. So I think from a confident standpoint, I feel pretty confident, like maybe 8, 9 range going in. Currently, not because I know everything, but because I'm just comfortable not having the answers. I've been there before. I know I've got people I can reach out to. So I just don't I don't take it personal or get all wrapped up in it. I just make a phone call or whatever. And then on the second part, I think just repetition really. And more than that, being able to reach out to other people that are going through the same thing, and just kind of, talking with a few people on the call. I generally will find a few people that, will chat back and forth, and that helps quite a bit too. And not to mention, I've got a pretty good franchise owner that's going to, take a big, amount of time to make sure I'm where I need to be. So I think that'll all come together. Just going to take a few weeks of, putting in the work.
Good, good. All right, let's see. Dan Adkins. Same question for you. You have to find the mute button first.
I must have, maybe I wasn't muted before. I thought I clicked mute. Good morning, everyone. So this
Morning.
is really, I can answer this far more meaningfully than I could the first time, Arlen, just because I have been out, in the wild now for a while. I'm probably at about a 6 or 7. Very confident on the parts that involve me just schmoozing and establishing at least an air of expertise and very confident in getting them to establishing rapport. But I am choking still on measuring for carpets specifically. And it's not that I can't do it, it's that I fear I'm doing it incorrectly and that I'm going to order the wrong stuff or have to go back again. Every single cotton pick and tie. The other part is, just going in there and having an even better understanding of the things like stair nose, that type of thing. We had a big drama with the big install we're finishing up right now because the Shaw rep had said get a flush stair nose, but then we weren't going to be able to get the floor to float underneath of it. We've been back and forth, so just having that higher level of confidence that allows you. I'm getting in the home. I'm getting almost there, but I'm not closing the deals over and over and over again. It's driving me nuts. So that's where I'm at.
Good. I mean, not good that you're not closing, but good that you recognize that, and then we have something we can work on.
No, I can see where I need to get to for sure.
Yep. Sam, where would you rate your confidence level?
Good morning. A 9, based on my experience so far in the field. And what would help me this week would be to be out in the field perfecting my work. That's where I work best, and that's it.
Nice. Richard Weaver.
I actually want to say I'm probably, even with the experience that I have, I'm still at like a 5 or a 6. There's still a lot more to learn. That was cool. And I would say what I want to get out of this, it's really the bridging that gap of getting from the objection to the close. A lot of times it's hard for me to go against the customer and say, well, why not? It's just something that I've always had a little bit of an issue with, and I really want to see what I can learn to get through that.
Okay, good. John Hester.
Good morning, guys. I'm probably along the lines of the other John in this group. I'd say maybe a 4. For me, not being in the flooring industry before and only having one right along under my belt so far, I think it's just being an expert and knowing the products and identifying what's in the house and the installation methods that I need to choose from, and then choosing the right product board categories. So I kind of need that simplified, I guess. So I mean, you got so many boards in the van. I need to know kind of a general area to go in. So I think that field is kind of where I want to focus on.
Okay. Now, you fully transitioned to Georgia now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Let's see. Grant, you don't get off the hook.
Nice to see you all. I guess I would say probably an 8 or 9. I feel like I've been able to absorb quite a bit in a relatively brief amount of time, over a month now, and I get the benefit of being surrounded every day by a lot of really experienced, talented people, including our man in charge over there, Arlen, who I get to share across the hall office with. So I've been very fortunate and really look forward to continuing to learning that much more, but also being a great resource for you all and helping to guide you as you grow.
Grant, what do you feel like would help you go from an 8-9 to a 9-10 this week?
Reps. It's just 100% about repetitions, right? The more you can get on the tablet, the more you can learn the company story, the more often that you get to read the room and have that conversation and ultimately make it your own. I think it's really important that you deliver it, but also be authentic on how you're delivering so that it's truly coming from your voice and your genuine care about the potential customer. So it's just about repetitions, nothing more.
Nice. Nice. Let's see, Amelia.
Morning. So I would say I'm between like a 7 and an 8. I feel really confident until I'm there and I'm actually in the process. So like Timothy and Grant said, it's all about repetition. I feel like the more I do it, the more it'll all kind of come together. But that's where I am right now, is once I get to the story, I kind of choke up, and sometimes I'm like, oh, do I want to, I'm almost urged to skip and just like, start freestyling a quote. And I have to remind myself, like, no, trust the process and just go with it. And I need to let my nerves just settle.
There you go. Good, good, good. Michael Forte.
I'd say probably about a 5 right now. I think I'm good with the basics of the tablet, and but I think I need more. I need to learn more of the nuances of it, and really more just product knowledge. I think, as has been mentioned, just reps and reps, just doing it more. Most of my experience is going into family and friends' houses, and so it's not as you're not feeling pressure with those. So just more reps, really.
Nice, nice. Let's see, Dave Lee.
Sorry, that mouse was on the other side of the world. So yeah, I feel really good. It's such a cool experience, when you go into someone's house and you get that ice breaking, to melt the ice and really just convey that you are there to solve their problems and come up with them the solution for what they're going to live on and live in for the next couple decades. So I feel great about that. I've had some really good experiences measuring, which I know is like one of those things where I'm like sitting on the last measurement and I take the measurement and I tell the guy, I'm like, if this is 2 feet 6 inches, I did it right. And sure enough, it comes through. So that's been a great experience. The customer story, I had a customer on Friday. I didn't give her a price because I do have those little like back and forth, like, God, I don't want to tell her a price and then have this thing just blow out of the water. After showing her the company story, she pretty much stopped me and she's like, you're my guy, I'm done. We're going with you. And that's it. So That coming off of that, it definitely gives me a lot more confidence in everything that I'm going to look forward to in the future. But bringing it back to like, yeah, presenting a price with confidence with the customer. And I know it's keep it simple, stupid kind of thing. Like just get that price out there. If it's off a little bit, that's okay. We're going to be fine. And especially starting up and getting rolling, no one's going to be in any trouble for being a couple $100 off. That's my biggest probably challenge, is just saying, good enough, I'll make it work. You're going to be happy, I'll be happy. So getting that better.
So if you had to boil it down to a 1 to 10 number, where would you be?
Oh, 11, sir.
11.
But realistically, probably like an 8 or a 9.
Okay. All right. Kelsey.
Alrighty. I would say I'm at probably a 5 or a 6 right now. I'm comfortable with like the general cadence of how the appointment is structured and set up. I think what I am really struggling with is just my confidence and just getting so nervous that I forget everything. And what I really want to get out of this week is just like, first of all, confidence, but also knowledge, which I know we've done a lot in the homework, and I still have a bit of homework to finish, but just getting more comfortable of understanding the flooring knowledge and situational install methods that are best, and kind of real life situations like that, which will also help as I continue to do ride-alongs. But yeah.
Nice. Let's see. How about Josefina?
Hi, I think that I'm probably around 5, 6. I'm still struggling with the walk of life and the closing. And I think that that's my weakest point, where I need to get more confidence. And also what I think, after I've been doing some home consultations and everything, that I need to feel that I have the control of the situation. Every time I get in the house, most of the time I feel like, I don't have it. So because I mean, sometimes, most of the visits, they are out of the book. I mean, they are not like we planned, and we practice. And at that point where when I sometimes I go like wide and I lose the control. So I think that that's my point.
Good. Roland.
Helps if I unmute. I would say, I'm very confident with the tablet and being in, with the people and keeping control of the conversation and all that kind of stuff. This week is really where I'm going to focus on, the kind of holistic thing of the whole sales process and the company story and all that. I'm hoping just by being submerged in it for a week, that's kind of how I absorb this type of a process, because I need to see it in its almost like a sourdough starter. I need to see it, and then I absorb it into my own words as I'm taking things I like, I don't like, that kind of thing throughout the process. And that's my goal for this week. And once that's done, I would put myself at probably an 8 or 9.
Okay. All right. So Josefina, in Roland's past, Roland ran a mixed martial arts studio. So he is a fighter, which means that next week I'm going to pair you with Roland.
Okay.
So that you can gain that confidence of what it means to walk into a room and simply take control of the room.
Good.
Perfect. Let's see, Azam.
Hi there. Yeah, hi everybody, how are you?
Good.
Okay, I would rate myself, I've been through like several, a few appointments, okay? In some of them, I would rate myself 8, 9, okay? And in some of them, I would rate myself 5, 6. It depends on the people, okay? Some people you feel comfortable with, and that's how I felt, when in and I was able to close that deal when I was at my tops and very comfortable with the person in front of me. I broke that shield of ice with them. I did a good warm up, okay, and moved on, to the next levels, and I was able to close the deal with Mr. Owen. My biggest challenge at this point is the tablet.
Linda,
I need more
do me a
practice.
huge favor. Makes me a
on
happy
it.
cup of coffee.
That's very much it. I've been through like some appointments with Mr. Owen. I did good warm up. I felt like that. I do very good warm ups, so on. Challenge a little bit with the company story. I need more practice on that. That's how I felt. But other than that, it's been going well. So I would rate
Good.
myself right now between 6 and 7. In average.
Okay. All right, good. So Clayton, I'll come to you and we'll call you Clayton or Tabitha or whatever you want us to call you. Either one's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'm on my home computer and I have never done this at home. So it was automatically signed into her. You can't hear me, right?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. So I'm gonna rate myself 7, 8. Just because, if somebody's at a 10 right now, man, they don't even need to be in this class. So, I'm at 100% close rate right now. I feel, yeah, I'm 1 for 1 right now.
Woo!
So
Love that feeling.
It wasn't a big job, but once I went out and met with them, as far as I know, I don't think they even worried about getting any other kind of quotes. I'm pretty positive and pretty confident. I can run anything, laminate, LVP, and carpet. I can run those by myself. Hardwood is a little bit different, just because there's so many variables when it comes to hardwood, and that's going to take, realistically, that's going to take months, I believe, of just making sure that I'm confident in what I'm telling them, because with red and white oak, they are super similar in colors. So if they're wanting to add additional, I've got to make sure that I'm getting them the right product.
Nice. Okay. All right, good. Let's see, who have we missed? I'm checking out the cameras that are not on. Alyssa, I think we've missed you. And you're muted.
Yep. Good morning. I would say that I'm probably somewhere between like a 6.5 and a 7. I would say I'm super comfortable with Salesforce, super comfortable with the tablet, measuring, like building rapport. I'm naturally a people person. So I feel like I'm actually really good at building rapport, because if I want to, I can sit there and talk to you for an hour and you'll forget that we even have a flooring project. So, but I know how to like reel myself back in and get myself back on course. So I'd say that I'm definitely good there. I'm good at measuring. And, my franchise owner has definitely reassured me of those things. I feel like I listen really well to a customer when they're telling me about like their vision. So I'm able to select samples really well. I feel like I do a good job at kind of varying price categories, right, and giving options. I would say that I very much align with Richard Weaver and Amelia. I have a hard time like shutting a family down when they're telling me their objection and being like, hey, no, but this, because I'm not in their life every day. I don't know their financial situations all the time. I don't know what hardships they face, what an exact day-to-day looks like, what kind of stuff they have to be involved in, right? So it's very hard for me to kind of spin it on them and be like, hey, no, let's call you out, right? But so I'm definitely working at getting better at that. And then the other thing that I would say is, yeah, definitely with not being able to like shut down the objection and wanting to agree with the customer sometimes, going into that company story, I almost kind of align with Amelia, where it's like the confidence is now gone and it's like, maybe we should just skip this part, right? Because you just talk yourself up in your brain of, oh, well, this is what's happening now. So like, well, what are my chances, right? So definitely kind of just making sure to actually go through with the company story to help overcome that objection and kind of make their brain turn around, because it's not me turning them inside out. It's just the process kind of working through them, right? So I would say that that's kind of where I'm at. But other than that, I feel like I do a great job. And my franchise owner, my training guy, he's been very reassuring and he has full confidence in me too. So
Nice. So we're going to dive into this deeper during the week. But if I could give you just a little tiny nugget right now, keep in mind that these are people that called you into their home because there's a project that they want to do.
Yeah.
It is different if you were standing in a retail store and somebody just came in browsing. There's no commitment there. I mean, that truly is just kicking tires, right? I mean, yeah, there's somebody that wants to do it for real, but there's also a lot of people that just walk into a retail store because, I don't know, it's hot outside and I want to go in the air conditioning, whatever, right? It's just, there's very little commitment there. But somebody has asked you to come into their home. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't ask complete strangers to come into my house unless I have a very specific reason for them to be there.
Totally.
So these are people that have asked you to come into their home because they are going to do a project.
Yeah.
Now, whether they decide to do it with you or they decide to do it with somebody else, that's up, they got to make that decision.
Yeah.
You have to believe that you are the best decision for them. Now, I'm not saying that's the case 100% of the time. There are places that you're going to go, there are people that you're going to see that you're going to look at and say, you know what, we're not the right fit for one another. For whatever reason, for a technical reason or something that they're trying to do or whatever it is, that's fine. So you're not gonna convince 100% of the people. That's okay. If you don't believe that you're the best person and you're the best company to solve this customer's problem, there's no way you're going to get somebody else to believe it either.
Yeah.
Right. So I think about different customers that I had in my past, and there was one gentleman in particular. And when I went into his home, he talked about, I asked him, what made you decide to do it today? And he said, he started tearing up, and he told me that his wife had died 6 months ago, and he had promised his wife that he was going to do the floors, and she passed away before he did them. And this was his way of keeping his promise to his late wife. And when his wife died, his brother moved in with him, and his brother has died since then too. And here I am, I'm at the kitchen table, and this dude is talking to me about, this horrible tragedy that's been in his life for the last months, right? And so one approach that I could take, I could say, dude, I really feel for you, and I just feel bad taking your money, so I'm going to leave. Or I could take the approach that, you know what? I am not letting anybody else run you through the mill. There is nobody that I trust better to do your project than me.
Yeah.
Right? And because of that tragedy in his life, I don't want to subject him to anybody. What do you think? I want him to go to Empire? Hell no. I am not going to allow him to be taken advantage of by somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving you that little nugget. Clayton, you wanted to jump in there, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of what you were talking about, like some things that if you feel like you're not the right fit or trying to explain to customers is, so, one of the big no-nos is gluing hardwood to concrete.
Yeah.
And we have found that a lot here recently. And we've had to explain to these people that we are not going to come in, unfortunately, and try to match that floor and add additional, hardwood into their home, because we just, that's not what we do. It's not right. And also the responsibility of it. Like we're just not going to put ourselves in that position.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've learned just being in the small family business, because it's only 3 people in my franchise, right? It's me and the 2 owners, that I totally feel like we're the right people for you. It's just sometimes I feel like I push my bounds too much because I don't know the customer's life. But Arlen has the point of but they called you out to do the flooring project. So, that's where the confidence piece kind of comes, is more just that.
Nice. Nice. All right, let's see. I'm looking for another blank camera. How about Delilah?
Hi.
Here she is.
So when you first asked the question on confidence, I was like, oh, I'm like definitely like an 8 or a 9. But the more I thought about it, I definitely need to memorize the company story. And I'm definitely in the same boat as Richard, Amelia, and Alyssa with like the walk of life and like those questions. I feel like it's really like confrontational. It's not confrontational. It's just, I feel that it is, and I don't like that. But that was a really good nugget that you dropped there. I think I needed a different perspective, and it kind of gave me the push to ask those questions. But I feel really confident just being in someone's house. I've done like 42 ride-alongs. I've done 10 on my own and landed a couple. So I feel really confident just building a relationship with someone. But also product knowledge I want to learn a little bit more about.
Nice. So if you had to boil it down to a number, where would you say?
I would say maybe like 6 or 7, like in between, 6.5.
Okay, got it. And let's see, David Tanner, are you with us? There he is.
Good morning, team. I'm standing in at 8 right now. And what I'm looking forward to this week is really the roundtable discussions, picking up the nuggets. There have been great details. And I focus on what Arlen and Grant say as far as leaning on my strengths as I get comfortable with the flooring industry. I'm looking forward to being a 9 or 9.5 by the end of the week. Thank you, everyone.
Nice. Nice. Let's see. So Mike Conrad, you came in a little bit late as expected. You sent me a note. Thank you for that. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your confidence today in being able to go out and run an appointment? I expect it to be fairly high. And what would you need this week to help boost that number up?
I would say probably a 7.5 or 8. My biggest stumbling block at this point is when I go pull product for the customer. That's where my confidence wanes a little bit. That's where I don't feel when I walk back in 100% of the time that I've got the right product with me. You know, sometimes I'm just guessing. You know, and that's where I fall off. That's really the biggest thing I need to get better with.
Okay, good. Good. Let's see. Who else have we missed? We missed Portia.
Hi. I think I would say 9 for me. And again, it's pulling the samples. I think I'm good with the quoting process now, and selling to the customer is just pulling the samples, because there's a lot of samples.
Okay. Let's see. I think I missed Anthony. Did I miss Anthony? Anthony's still with us. No, that's why I missed him. He's dropped off.
I'm right here. I'm here, Arlen.
There he is. I just see a background.
I would say I'm at a 9. I've been on some ride-alongs by myself. I've been shadowed, and I've also done some completely by myself. So I'm at about a 9.
Okay. And what would it take to get you to a 10 this week?
One of the things that keeps me or has me a little uncomfortable is the product keeps changing for its availability, what's in the van and what's not. So just making sure, learning that product, just getting over those little bumps and bruises.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did, but I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, good. All right, then we are going to move forward. So let me share with you a little bit about my expectations for this week, and we will we'll dive in just as quickly as we have to, or just as quickly as we can. So some expectations for this week. I know, because I've done this a lot, I know that long meetings on Zoom are really, really hard. And so we will absolutely take breaks Don't worry about that. I'm going to give you little 5-minute breaks, 10-minute breaks. And yes, we will take a longer break to be able to get something to eat. I can't stand here all day and not eat something. I'm just not wired that way. So we will absolutely take breaks during the day. Don't worry. My expectations, be open and be engaged with one another. Be focused. If at all possible, and I know this is tough, right? Because I've got my cell phone sitting right beside me as well. As best as possible, try to eliminate the distractions that are around you so that you can really focus on what's happening here. Now, when I say be fearless, I mean be fearless in your trying stuff, and also be fearless in being able to give feedback to one another. So this is going to be something that if you're not accustomed to doing it, that might be the most uncomfortable thing that we do this week, is being able to give really, really good feedback to one another. I'm going to ask you to embrace failure. More on that in just a moment. To have your cameras on at all times. It's really hard for you guys to connect with one another if you can't see one another. It's bad enough that we have to do this on Zoom. It's even worse when you can't see one another's faces. So if you can, keep your cameras on as much as you possibly can. Now, one thing that I've learned is that humans, unfortunately, we learn through failure. And I say unfortunately because the reality is it would be really nice for us to be able to look at somebody's success and then go out and just repeat that success. But oftentimes we have to learn it the hard way for ourselves. So yes, that's me in the 315. And that's, you know what? That other driver and I, we learned some things that day. We learned some things about that corner. We learned some things about what happens when you take that corner a little bit not the right way. But one thing that I've learned is that unless you sort of push your limits, you don't ever really learn anything. If you don't make yourself become uncomfortable, you don't ever really learn anything. And so one of the things that I'm going to ask you guys to do, we're going to spend a lot of time this week in breakout rooms. Now, today, we're not going to spend as much time, but during the rest of the week, you're going to spend a lot of time in breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, I'm going to ask you to give feedback to one another. And while it really makes you feel good when somebody says, oh, that was a really good job. That was really, really good. Yeah, that's good, but it's not helpful. What's more helpful is when somebody says, that was overall really good, but in this area, you could make an improvement. Or in this area, you can make an improvement. Because the reality is, if we just spend the week patting each other on the back, we're going to leave this week feeling good about ourselves, but not actually changing. And what I would much rather do is that we actually improve and we make some changes this week. Changes for the good. So, you know what? I know that these are going to be long meetings. If you need something to eat, grab something to eat. If you want something to drink, have something to drink. This is one of the few ways, you know, one of the benefits of Zoom is if you're a smoker, you can smoke in the middle of a meeting. Knock yourself out, because it's not going to hurt anybody else on the call. So you know, do your thing. I'm going to ask you to be engaged. We're going to absolutely manage the energy of the room. As a result, we'll take breaks. I'm going to ask you to be very punctual in those breaks. So if it's a 10-minute break, keep it to 10 minutes, because oftentimes we'll take a break and then go straight into a breakout room. And I can't start the breakout room until everybody's back. And so we end up waiting for one or two people that are, you know, lagging behind. So be really, really punctual and try to minimize the distractions. Any questions so far? All right. Evaluations. So I want to be really clear on this point. There's always some confusion on the evaluations each day. So let's just talk through today, and then we'll apply it to the rest of the week. Today, you and I are going to be together from now until about 4 or 4:30 Eastern time, roughly in that zone. I try to keep it about 4 o'clock Eastern so that you've got a good stopping point for the day. No, we won't be 5 hours straight. We will take some breaks. After 4 o'clock Eastern, I am asking that your franchise owner, or if you are a franchise owner, that your ops coach or an ops coach gets with you this evening and you actually run an appointment. Now, if you don't have a real customer to run, I'm asking that your franchise owner does a mock appointment with you. So yes, today you're running an appointment, whether you've run one yet or not. And the point of that is for you to be able to get some feedback from somebody, whether it's an ops coach, whether it's a franchise owner. that you actually have somebody giving you feedback today. I need a copy of that competency model. So that inspired sale competency model that I keep sending out, I sent it out again this morning. That inspired sale competency model, I'd like to get all those back tonight. My day starts very early in the morning. I normally crank up at about 4 o'clock. And when I crank up, then the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every one of these evaluations, and I'm going to evaluate where have we made improvements and where do we still need to work. So for example, I'll pick on Kelsey. So you do an evaluation with John, and John gives you all 5s on everything. So I look at that and say, okay, well, we don't need to work with Kelsey tomorrow. I mean, there's nothing to do. Everything's perfect. So it's not that I don't want to work with you. It's just, there's nothing there. So while getting a bunch of 4s and 5s on an evaluation feels good, it doesn't really help me understand what you need for the next day. I want you to think of this class as almost like, it's almost like a cafeteria where you've got all these different options. I've got about 110 exercises that I pull from. And I pull from the ones that I feel like this class needs the most. So you guys that came through this about 2 months ago, you'll realize that this week feels very different than the last time you went through it. And it's only because I'm going to take the feedback that I get from all these different evaluations and tailor the class based on what this particular class needs. So it does determine what we work on the next day. I don't want you to think of the evaluations as being a grade. I want you to think of the evaluations as being feedback. This is a way for you to get feedback to know what you need to work on in order to get better. And let's face it, we all want to get better at what we do. So a rough agenda. I say rough, don't hold me to any one of these times because I'm going to flex and flow essentially the way that we need to. So we've done a transfer in. We're walking through some expectations. Very quickly, we're going to jump into step 8, and we're going to start working on the close together, okay? We're going to get into this really, really quick here in just a moment. At some point where it makes sense, we'll take a break. By the way, if you need a break, ask for one, because if you need to hit the head, if you feel like you need something to eat or drink, there's probably somebody else that does too. So just, interrupt me and we'll stop where we need to stop. We're going to do a bridge the gap exercise. We're going to spend some time working on the walk of life, and we're going to role play that a little bit. And then, like I said, somewhere around 4-ish, we'll stop for the day and let you guys run off and do your evaluations, run customer appointments, whatever you need to do. Now, are there any questions? All right, good. Then let's shift screens. And we will move over to the whiteboard. All right, so let's do a quick review so that we set ourselves up right for the close. What am I trying to do in the setup call?
Get them excited for the actual consultation.
Yeah, I want to get them excited.
Them to stop Googling.
Yep, that's it. I want them to stop Googling. Okay, so my whole purpose of doing the setup call is to try to get it so that the customer quits Googling other people. I want them to work with me. I want them to be excited to work with me. And there's a lot of little elements that I can put in the setup call, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. All right, what am I trying to do in the warm-up?
Build rapport.
Yep, I want to build some rapport. Okay, so if I'm going to build rapport, What is the subject matter that I want to talk about?
The customer.
Anything.
Yes. Anything but business.
Yep. This is the opportunity for me to get to know the customer, right? Now, as I transition, by the way, if I catch a lot of background noise from your camera, I will mute you, but feel free to unmute yourself when you want to talk again, okay? So that's not my way of shutting you up. It's just my way of cutting the noise feedback down. All right. So between step 1 and step 2, I'm going to ask a couple of transition questions so that we move the appointment from step 1 to step 2, okay? So I've got these transition questions in here. And what is the point of the transition questions?
Pull out an objection for later.
Yep, I want to pull out an objection. Good. All right, step 2, we're going to inspect the space with the customer. What is my whole point of inspecting the space?
To find something that needs to be done now and make it there, make them own it.
Okay, so I want to figure out what the project looks like today. And I want to figure out what they want their project to look like tomorrow. If that makes any sense. This is what your floor looks like today, and these are all the things that you love about it, and these are all the things that you hate about it. And this is what I want my floor to look like tomorrow, and what I expect to love about it. Okay, so to me, step 2 is like a today, tomorrow question. All right, what am I doing in step 3? The big thing.
Build a sense of urgency.
Yes, I will, especially through the inspection video, but what is the main element in step 3?
To reiterate what the customer has told you their problem is and agree with them and validate it to progress forward.
Okay, again, I agree with that. That's 100%. We're going to do that, especially in the inspection video. We're going to record what it was that the customer said. But what is the number one thing that I'm trying to get out of step 3?
Set urgency and let the customer own the problem and solve it.
Measure and build 3 options.
Measure.
Measure. And build 3 options. Okay, it might be 4 options, but for the sake of expediency, we'll call it 3 options. All right, now I agree with the other things that Azam said, that Alyssa said, everything, right? I want to build urgency. I want them to take ownership of the problem. I want to repeat back to them what they said their issue was. I 100% agree with all that. But the number one thing that I have to do this in step 3 is I have to measure and I have to build some options in the tablet, right? So now I have those options built. If you want, you can call them rough draft options, but I need to have those options built in the tablet, okay? So now I go out to the van. I'm going to draw my little van here. Good. So now I'm going to go out to the van and I'm going to pull products out of the van. When I come back in, we're going to sit down and do a company story, right? So I'm going to play the inspection video back to them. I'm going to give them the company story. What's the main point of step 4? What is my main reason for doing this company story?
Develop the confidence that you're the right person for the job.
Value in the company.
This is where we're going to differentiate ourselves, right? That looks really hard to read. But we're going to build our confidence, and this is how we're going to differentiate ourselves from others. It's like Dave said when we transferred in, you know, he went and talked to a customer, and as soon as he finished the company story, she hadn't even seen a price, and she's like, "You're my guy. It doesn't matter. You're my guy." That's exactly where we want people to be. You can't get that if you don't explain who you are and what you do. There's nobody that's going to convince me that you can actually sell, that you can actually communicate to somebody that we're the right customer without doing some version of the company story. It's impossible. All right.
I've had that happen too.
Sorry?
I said I've had that happen too, where they've already made their decision at the end of the story. So I do try to make sure I nail that one.
Nice. Nice. All right, so the installation presentation, that sort of comes up in the company story, like in the middle of the company story, right? What is the main purpose of that installation presentation?
That's probably one of the one thing that I always remember about these trainings is there's always just up and down about that installation video. They're like, oh man, it's just like this. It takes too long or does this and that. And I have sat there and just watched it with customers and just back and forth. I'm like, tell me what you see and what you think. And then I put in my words, and it's been really cool. So I'm just going to start this training out with that. I like that video. It's really neat. And even if it doesn't translate exactly to what the customer's project is, getting them to understand how we do things and the care that we take, and the steps that we'll provide to make sure that their life is easy during this whole process, this construction process, has been fantastic. I love it. That's my 2 cents.
Nice. So if I could do this, if I could say that the company story answers the question of who we are, the installation presentation answers the question of how we're going to do things. And that installation presentation, a lot of people have told me, hey, look, these before and after pictures at the end, they just feel really awkward. They're just sort of there, right? And I find that to be a beautiful place. You've got about 20 seconds there, 15 or 20 seconds there, that you can ad lib and you can just talk to the customer about things that are important for their specific job, and just let those before and after pictures roll. So I really love I actually like the silence at the end of that, and just because it gives you some free space to sort of go and do what you need to do. All right, so step 6. What's the main point of step 6?
Get them to fall in love with something.
Present the product.
Oh, I love it. You're gonna fall in love with something. Good. So I can make a big heart here, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's FCI right there. It's a shopping experience in their house, and that's what we do. That's what we're about.
Yep. So step 6, we're gonna help the customer fall in love with the product. Okay. All right. Pre-close. Anybody remember the pre-close question?
Other than payment, or other than price or payment, would there be anything else that would stop us from doing your project today?
Love it. I love it. Other than price or payment, this up. Enough. All right, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? So this is my step 7 question. What is the point of that question? Why do I bother asking that question?
You're gonna find out if there's poo-poo.
To rule out any objections. Besides, if they agree on the price, to see if that's their objection.
See if you're done selling.
Yeah, so who remembers the 4 reasons that people buy?
They like the product, the price,
Person.
the company, the person. I did them backwards.
Product price.
Just still got them right.
Yep, still got them right. All right, so now let's take a look. The person we've sort of covered the person in this first section, haven't we? And the company, we've sort of covered the company in the who we are and how we do things, and the product, we've covered that here. So the only thing left to cover is the price. So when I ask this question, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started? What am I expecting to hear?
An answer?
Yeah, thank you. What answer am I expecting to hear?
Price.
No, there's no other reason except for price or payment.
Yeah. So I'm expecting that the customer is either going to say it just comes down to price. If they tell me something else, so I ask them, so other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? If they say, well, I still want to get a couple of other estimates, what does that tell me?
You didn't do something right.
Yeah, there's something up here that's missing, right?
Yeah.
If I get this other, let's put it this way, if I get this other, well, then there's something up here that I missed. I didn't convince them that I'm the right person. I didn't show them that we're the right company, or maybe we've not landed on the right product. Okay. Now, I may or may not be able to sell this job. I don't know if I can salvage it or not at this point, because it's not like I can go back and do a warm up again. It's not like I can go back and do the company story again. So about the only thing I can do is say, oh, well, you're looking for some other estimates. Is there another product that you'd like to see? Okay, but if I just got them to say, oh, we love this. Okay, well, if you love this, and if I'm the right person, see, what I'd love to be able to do is I'd love to be able to just ask somebody up front, have I shown you that I'm the right person, that we're the right company, and that this is the right product, and really now it just comes down to price, but I can't be that direct. It just doesn't work. Okay, so I'm just going to ask this question, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And I'm expecting that the customer is going to say, just comes down to price. That's what I'm expecting. Okay, so assuming that he actually says that, I'm going to make some sort of commitment statement. All right, so what do I mean by a commitment statement? I'm going to tell the customer, well, I'm not going to let price or payment stand in the way of you getting the floors that you love and deserve. And that's certainly not word for word, okay? It has to sound like you. If you say those words exactly, you sound like me, and that doesn't work, okay? You have to sound like you. So you decide the right way to say it. I had a design associate that used to work for me, and he would say, well, dude, I'm not going to let the Benjamins get in the way. Okay, whatever. I don't care, right? Make it you. If I say that, it doesn't sound right. It sounds stupid. But when he would say it, it made perfect sense, and it sounded just like him. Okay, great. Reword that. But you want to make some sort of promise to the customer, make some sort of commitment to the customer that, hey, I'm not going to let price or payment stand in your way. I'm not going to let the budget stand in, I'm not going to let the Benjamins stand in the way. Whatever it is, I'm not going to let this stuff stand in the way of you getting the floors that you love and deserve. Okay, that promise is going to come back later. Y'all know what an Easter egg is, right? You know what an Easter, we're right around the corner from Easter, or we've passed Easter, but anyway, you know what an Easter egg is, right? It's something that you leave to be able to find later. And this is one of those questions that I'm putting it out there because I might need it later. So I want to give this promise to the customer that I'm not going to let price or payment, I'm not going to let anything stand in the way of them getting the floor that they love and deserve. It's a little Easter egg that I'm leaving out there in case I need to use it later. Okay? All right. Now, for today's purpose, for today, I want to be clear here because we're about to transition now into the close. We're about to transition into the close. For today, I'm making the assumption that I got what we call a positive pre-close. In other words, I did all the stuff leading up to this right, and when I asked the customer, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? They're going to look at me and say, no, it just comes down to price. Great. Well, I'm not going to let price or payment stand in the way of you getting the floors that you love and deserve, and now I'm going to move right into the close. Okay? I have to make this assumption that we did this right, and we've gotten a price objection. So I'm assuming for today, tomorrow we'll look at what does it mean to do something else. But for today, I have to make the assumption that I got a positive pre-close. Does that make sense? Okay, so as we train this, we have to sometimes take, either turn left or turn right. And right now I'm turning right to go down this path, and later we can go down the other path. So how does this look big picture? I like the big picture. So how does this look big picture? A customer comes in on the website, or they come in through Home Advisor, or maybe they came through a home show or whatever. It doesn't matter. How quickly do I want to do the setup call?
Right away.
Right away. Okay. No delay. So I got, all of a sudden I get an appointment, and this appointment is for next Thursday. When do I want to make the setup call?
Within 24 hours.
Yeah, I want it done. Yeah, right now. Right? I want it as fast as possible because I want to stop Googling, right? The setup call is different than, maybe the day before the appointment, I call them again, or the day of the appointment, I call them again just to, to remind them that they have an appointment. That's great. A little confirmation call doesn't hurt anybody. But the setup call is different. The setup call is about stopping the Googling from happening. So that needs to happen as soon as that appointment is booked. As fast as possible, I want to get that appointment, I want to get that setup call done, okay? So I've made my setup call. I drive to the appointment. How long do you think I'm in the warm-up?
As long as it takes.
Yeah.
15 to 20 minutes.
Typically 10 to 15 minutes, but as long as it takes.
Yeah, sure. Generally 10 or 15 minutes. All right, so I've made my setup call, and now I've gone into the house and I've done a warm-up. And now that we've had a time to just sort of get to know one another, how long have you been thinking about replacing your floor? And before you know it, now we're walking the space together. I give them a reference list. They go call the reference list, and now I'm measuring the space. I shoot my inspection video. I build some options. I walk out to the van. I go and pull product out of the van. I go ahead and pull 3 options. But when I show them product, I'm going to stick with option 1. Okay, I'm not, let me just be clear here, I'm not showing them all 3 options and saying this is good, better, best. I'm showing them the first option so that we can have a discussion about one option at a time. I don't want to confuse the customer by giving them, oh, look, you could do this or this or this or this. No, one option at a time. So option 1.
But Arlen, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes when you're talking to the customer and they like from the warm up or from the conversation that you carry on, you figure out they want like different options. Can you tell them I'm gonna create few options for you?
Absolutely.
You just let them know that you're having other options too.
Sure. I'm happy to tell the customer. Look, I'm gonna price all these different options up. No problem. And what do? I go price up all the different options. That's fine. But when I go through the process, I'm going to stick with one option until the customer says, okay, we're not doing that option. Now let's go to another one. Okay. All right. So how many boards are in option 1? How many product boards do I actually go pick out of the van?
3 to 4.
Yep. So option 1 is 3 to 4 boards. How about option 2?
2 to 3.
I have a question. Hold on. So when you say option 1 is 3 boards, does that mean like you might go pull 3 different laminates and 3 different colors for option 1? Or is that, do you mean option 1 has 3 different options as in like a Premier, a Plus, and a Select?
So option 1 is 3 product boards that are all about the same price.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to think of this as, maybe this helps. This is price option 1. This is price option 2.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. That's better. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. So I might have 4 boards. I've got 3, maybe 4 boards that are close enough in price that, you know what, from a price perspective, these are close enough. They're all the same. Okay. They're not exactly the same, but they're close enough. All right. So let's say that my price option 1, we're just playing here. Let's say that my price option 1 is about a $15,000 price. Okay, good. So it might be that one board is $14,800, one board's $15,200. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's close enough. We're in that $15,000 zone. All right, so now option 2, maybe I've put together a project that's what? $11K. Who knows? I want this about a 20 to 25% difference. It's not going to be exact. But if I have a 15K option and option 2 is a 14K option, that's not a big enough difference to make an impact on the customer. All right, how about option 3? How many boards are we talking about?
1.
Yeah, 1, maybe 2. Okay. All right. So I could theoretically, I've pulled 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. I've probably identified in the van somewhere between 6 and 9 boards. Now that doesn't mean that I'm walking back up to the house carrying 9 boards. It might be that I leave option 2 and option 3 on the front seat of the van just so that it's easy to get to. Maybe I put option 3 on the front seat, but I carry in option 1 and option 2 I leave on the front porch. I don't know. It's just, I mean, each house is a little bit different. The point is that I want to be able to focus the customer on option 1. Okay, good. And option 1, price option 1, 3 to 4 boards. Okay, so we're back to our big overview here.
Hey, Arlen.
Yes.
On those, kind of the way that I've been doing it, because Scott's been kind of giving me the lead on most of this stuff. But what I've been doing is like when I take them first 3 boards in there, I don't like to pull a bunch out of the van just because they are a pain in the butt getting them all back in at one time. I will usually leave like the one that they like the most out of that first option, and I'll take the others and put them back in the van, and then just kind of roll like that. So I don't have to try to put 10 boards back in the van at one time, because that turns out to be a disaster.
It's a pain. Yeah, that's a pain. I'll tell you, a lot of times, Clayton, I'll ask a customer, you know, let's say I've got 4 boards out there for option 1, right? And I'll tell the customer, they're having a hard time deciding. This is somebody that just can't seem to decide on breakfast, let alone a floor, right? And so here we are talking to them, and I'll say, okay, look, I don't want you to tell me yes on anything. I want you to look at these boards, and I want you to tell me no or maybe. Well, now I've made them, they'll make a decision, because no is easier to say than yes. So, okay, good. No, that means this board, I'm putting it to the side. We're never talking about it again. And yeah, if I have to go back to the van, that board is going back with me to the van and it's getting put away, right? So it makes it easier to put stuff away at the end, but it also means that when the customer says no, you know, no means no. So when the customer says no, that board is going away and we're never going to talk about that board again. And now we're going to focus on the maybes and convert the maybes to a yes. All right, good. So we've made our 3 options. We walk out to the van. We come back, we find out whether or not they called anybody on the reference list. We give them the company story. We roll right into the installation presentation, help them pick out product. At the pre-close, while I'm asking the question about the pre-close, and we'll get into the tablet this week too, but while I'm asking them the question about the pre-close, I will change, especially if I have used, like if I've used option 1, let's say it's a PG3 that I pulled. Well, when I get to the pre-close, I'll go ahead and go in here and make my little switcheroo button and switch that for the actual product. And so now I find out that, well, the $15,000 price is really $15,325. Okay, good. So now I make that switch right here at the end. How long does it take to make that switch? This switch takes about 30 seconds. So I can move quickly from step 6 to step 7 to step 8 and close the sale. I realize this is quick. Walk into the customer's house and just have a great warm up with them. Walk through the space with them and understand what it is that they're trying to do. Measure the space and build 3 options. Pull some product out of the van and do a company story. Help them pick out product. Ask them a pre-close question and close it. Does that make sense? Does the flow make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Very much so.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a little break here before I dive into step 8. Any questions about this overall flow? And remember, when we come back, we're going to assume that we got a positive answer to this question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the customer is going to look at me and smile and say, no, it just comes down to price. And I'm going to walk into step 8. I'm going to walk into the close with the understanding that that's where we are. Make sense? All right. So let me give you guys a bio break. My clock says 12:12. So you can adjust that for wherever you are. We're going to come back together when my clock says 12:25. And what I'm going to ask you to do is actually turn off your cameras for right now. And when you're back and you're ready to go again, turn your camera on, and then I know that you're ready and we're here together. So 12:25 sharp, and we will get this party started again.
I'm unable to finish the whole thing. I mean, I finished all the assignments, but still I'm a low percentage of it. Am I missing anything? Anybody knows?
It's probably a similar situation than what you've got in week 2, because week 2 won't finish either. But I do see where some people have been able to get 100% complete in week 5. So let's see, where are you? No, it shows me that you're at 25%. So there's something that's not finished.
I did all the basic videos and exams and tests, and
we can look at it. We can look at it later. All right. So if you are back, turn your cameras back on and let us get started. So we're going to do a deep dive into step 8, a deep dive into the close. Okay. I sent you the slides this morning, but I'm not going to go through the slides. We're going to go through the same material, but I'm not going to do it slide by slide. The slides are for your reference, and if you want to be able to take notes on them, if you're a paper and pencil person, that's why I sent them out to you. It's also good reference material for the future, but we're not going to, I'm not going to do this slide by slide. So let's dive into step 8. Remember, as we move into step 8, as we move into the close, we're making an assumption that I asked this question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason you couldn't get your job started today? And the customer said, no, it only comes down to price. So we're making the assumption that I got a positive pre-close, okay? We're making the assumption that I got a positive pre-close. So now I show the customer a price on a price sheet. Here we go. All right, so I show the customer price. And I like to do this in a particular way. I like to make this number sound really, really big. I like to make this number sound really, really big. I like to make this number sound really small. I like to make this number sound really, really big. I like to make this number sound really small. And I like to make this number sound really, really big. And there's a psychological reason for that. You're going to find that some of your customers are going to look only on the left-hand side of your screen. That's it. They don't care about payments. They're not interested in financing things. They're what I call a bottom line kind of person. And they're going to look down here and they're going to focus in on this $12,337. And that's all they're going to see. They're not going to pay attention to financing. But you're going to have other customers that look at the right-hand side of your screen, and that's the customer that's considering whether or not they can fit one of these numbers into a monthly budget. Okay? I don't make any judgments. I don't care if you're going to finance it or if you're going to write a check for the whole thing. It doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever. There's no judgment here. Who are some of the people that are going to want to use financing? Who are some of the people that look at this and they're like, no, I can't do 12 grand, but I could do $330 a month? Who are those people?
On fixed income.
Parents,
Or they're gonna buy, most likely.
People who are on fixed
Social
income.
Security, older folks.
All right, so maybe it's somebody that's on a fixed income. Who else?
People who don't want to tie up all their money.
Yeah, somebody who doesn't want to tie up all their money that way. Okay. Who else?
People who are just very financially cautious.
Okay. All right. So they don't want to come off the hip for 12 grand right away, but they're okay with doing a little cautiousness and $330 a month. Good. Who else is going to opt for the financing?
Sophisticated buyers.
Ooh. But why would a sophisticated buyer be interested in financing? I mean, wouldn't they want to save the interest?
Not if they
Not
can
if they're
use
making
somebody
more.
else's money.
Oh, there you go. You're going to find that some of the, initially we think, well, people that are financing are people that can't afford this, and so they have to use financing. Quite the opposite. Excuse me. You're going to find that some of the richest people that you talk to are the ones that are going to want to finance it, because they figured out the secret to making money is to use other people's money. Okay. So there's no judgment here. When somebody says $330 a month, okay, $330 a month. I don't feel like you're poor because you're doing $330 a month. It could be quite the opposite. They might be completely rich. I don't know. I don't care. That's not what I'm here for. Okay. Now, when I present price to a customer, I like to make this number sound really big. I like to make this number sound really big. I like to make this number sound really small. Anybody know why I do it that way? There's a psychological reason.
It drives home they're saving more.
Drives home they're saving more. When you're making a big point about something, oftentimes, if you're talking really loud and you're really excited and you're really big, you make your point in a very small voice. It causes people to pull in and really hear what you're saying. So when I present price, I'm going to play with the projection of my voice, the speed of my voice, the tone of my voice. I'm going to play with those things. So the price of your project is $12,487. And you got a reference list discount of $150, and that brings your price down to just $12,337. And that tends to focus people on that number. Good. And it makes it sound smaller. All right, now over here on the payment side, I try to make this sound big, this sound small, and this sound big. So 24 months would be $586 a month. 36 months is only $415, and 48 months would be $330 a month. So why do you think I'm focused on the middle one and using the small voice for the middle one? Why do I want the customer to focus on the $415 a month?
Because that's where most customers land.
Not necessarily. It's a good guess, but not necessarily.
To let them pick the smallest. I mean,
Well,
the smallest amount.
It's a focal point. It gets them drawn into that by being in the center.
Yep, I'm gonna draw them into the center. Some people are gonna say $415 a month is too much. And then I can simply focus them on the $330. Other people are gonna say 36 months is too long. In which case I can simply point them back over here to 24 months.
It gives you somewhere to go.
It gives me somewhere to go. I'm leaving my roads open. Okay, that's why I do it that way. All right,
Now,
so let's do it.
When you're in this, when you're at this page and you're talking about payments and stuff like that, do you also, because I think maybe every franchise is different, is different with the financing options. Do you tell them like, hey, this is what we have, this is the payments, but we also, on some of these, there is a 6 month or 12 months, same as cash option.
I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is, Clayton, yes, I'm gonna do that, but not yet. Okay, yes, but not yet. Okay, so let's lay this out. I want you to keep in mind, I asked, let's do this in real time. And Clayton, I'll come to you. I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna do this in real time. All right, so Clayton, this is the hardwood. This is the one you absolutely love?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Well, Clayton, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
No, not really. I think, pricing is the biggest thing, is kind of see where we land on that.
Okay. Well, look, I know everybody's concerned about pricing. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that price or payment don't stand in the way of you getting the floor that you love and deserve.
Awesome. I thank you for that.
So, Clayton, I've worked up your price for you. The total retail price for your project is $12,487. Now, you were able to get in touch with 3 of the people on my reference list, and that gives you a $150 discount. And that brings your total down to just $12,337. And I never know how people might want to pay for a project like this. So I took the liberty of putting together some payment options. 24 months would be $586 a month. 36 months is just $415, and 48 months is $330 a month. Now, once your project is complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options?
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
I think I'll probably choose one of the options. I just need to look at my financials and kind of figure out which of the ones I'd like to choose.
Beautiful. All right, so then we're going to go from there. Now, I want you to notice something about the closing question. How did I ask that closing question? What did I ask for my closing question? And again, this is not word for word.
You made it
It's either or. Okay, so once your job is complete, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check? Or take advantage of one of the payment options?
So now, Arlen, I have a question.
Yes.
So maybe, and I guess everybody else will be able to confirm, maybe this is just a Washington thing, but every job that me and my franchise owner have gone into, there is a conversation about subfloor leveling. And typically we don't factor that in because it's kind of an unknown until a full evaluation can be done once, old flooring has been ripped up, right?
Okay.
So when you're presenting something like this, at least in Washington and my franchise specifically, I've noticed you we jump a lot harder just towards the 50% down, cash or check, debit card, however you want to do it, 50% upon completion, because we really don't factor in the subfloor preparation. So, I mean, when it comes to financing, what are the terms that you would kind of put around that? Because obviously, if somebody's going to finance a project, I need to have a rough idea of how much subfloor leveling is going to be.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Does any of that matter if you don't land the job?
No, but if I'm trying to land the job and price is the factor, wouldn't the price of
Okay,
the floor leveling be a factor?
When you've gotten to this screen, you already have your price. Now, I'm assuming that all the way back in step 6, or maybe as you were walking through your process, you told the customer, I'm going to present you with a price for the floor, and then there could be an adder for additional subfloor prep.
Totally, yes.
Okay, so you told the customer that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I did this? I said, Alyssa, without the subfloor work, which we talked about could be an extra charge, the total price for your project is $12,487. The price for the reference list is $150. That would bring your price down to just $12,337 plus whatever our subfloor prep is.
Okay.
Okay.
I
It's the same
have a
thing.
question, Arlen.
Yep.
Related, I think, off of Alyssa's type of question is, so if we're not financing 100%, or if we're always saying we're going to take a down payment, then presenting it with a 0 down payment, isn't that a little bit bait and switchy? Or don't you have the don't you have the potential to make someone feel that way? If you said, well, this is the price, oh, by the way, we need 30% down.
You
know,
can put that in there.
I'm 15 seconds into a conversation, right? I'm 15 seconds into a conversation. There's a lot of other conversation that we need to have. But at the very beginning, I just want to understand, are we moving forward or are we not moving forward?
So my input on this one real quick, guys, is that during the video, and I bring up how I'm going to give you one price for this project. This is what I do. This is where I take my pride. I'm not going to change anything unless my installation team comes across an issue that may be unforeseen, at which point we will stop our work. We will consult with you and make sure that we do this right so that it is done the first time the right way. And they love it. They're like, yeah, that's perfect. That's what I would prefer, instead of getting hit at the end with, oh, we moved furniture. Oh, we had to do this. And here's your huge number. And you're like, dude. So I'll always prep a customer for what might happen during a construction project and say, we'll stop it. We'll consult with you. They love it.
Good.
And Roland, on the whole down payment thing, I usually let my customers know as I'm talking them through this, that, I mean, we do take 50% down. We'll start the job, and then as soon as the job's finished, we do our final walkthrough, because you go ahead and pay the rest. That's usually during the video.
All right, good. Good stuff. So once your job is complete, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? So this is an either or. You notice it's not a yes or no. I'm not asking the customer, do you want to do this? That's a yes or no. If the answer is no, they're going to tell me no. So I'm not worried about that. I'm just asking them, when the job's finished, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? All right, what is glaringly, obviously missing from that question?
The customer's reaction. I mean,
all right, John, if you were going to pay 12 grand for something,
right,
how would you want to pay for it?
I would want to pay for, I mean, it would depend on my financial situation at the point. If that was a higher number than I expected, Marianne Murphy did a training video where the lady stopped her right in her tracks on step 8 and said, that's way over my budget. And then she said, well, what was your budget? And then she slid over to that, put that down, and created a secondary final, which of course was a serendipity close. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'll do it. But that was a much more realistic thing than just going over and asking for a blind payment. There are blind payment people though.
Okay, but there is something that's blatantly missing here. How do you guys normally pay for anything?
Credit card.
A credit card. I am purposely not asking, do you want to pay with a credit card? I'm purposely not asking that question. I am purposely asking, would you pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payments? So I'm making a guess here, okay? Yes, I'm doing a little age profiling, but I'm guessing that Alyssa might not even have a checking account. Or if she does, she doesn't write checks.
I have a checking account, and coincidentally, I do write checks because my dog's
Oh.
chiropractor is like 78 years old and only takes checks. So, beat you.
So you have one place that you write checks for.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to take advantage of that, right? Delilah, are you a check person?
I use credit cards, but I have checks. I don't really write them unless like absolutely necessary.
Yep. Okay. So when I asked Delilah, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? What do you think she's going to ask me?
You take
I
credit
mean,
cards.
maybe she'll look at the
Credit
payments
cards?
and say, yeah, maybe she'll look at the payments and just say, well, I'll do one of the payments, right? But my guess is that she's going to look at me and say,
Do you
well,
take credit
would you
cards?
take a credit card? Okay. So what is my answer?
Yes.
We sure do.
But then there's 3% surcharge on it at my dealership.
We're still trying to work on getting finance options, so.
All right, don't 3% this. Let's land the job. Let's land the job. Okay, we'll get to that. Do you take credit cards? How am I going to answer that question?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, then you've just made it very academic. All right, you know what it means to get something for something? I don't ever want to give something away without getting something back. If I'm going to give information, I want to get information. So Delilah asked me, do you take credit cards? And my answer to her is,
If I
If
do,
I do,
are we gonna be able to do business today?
I need to get my charger. Excuse me.
okay, you can ask, you can play with the words. This is not word for word, right? But what is the point of this? I'm trying to ferret out whether or not the objection really is, I want to pay with a credit card, or is there something else that we're trying to deal with? So if she asks me, do you take credit cards? And I just say, yes. Okay, well now what do I do? Okay, I answered the question, great, but are we any closer to getting this job done? No, we're not. But if she asks me, do you take credit cards? Hey, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? Now it puts me in a position of understanding where her, oh yeah, if you take credit cards, I'll be happy to do the job. Okay, great. Oh, by the way, we have a 3% service charge for credit cards. Or by the way, we do this. I'm not doing anything under the table. I'm going to be 100% open and transparent. So great. If your location does that, then this is the perfect time to say that. But my first reaction is, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? What if somebody says, $27,000 floor, do you guys do PayPal? What are you going to tell them?
the exact same thing.
Yeah, if I could get it
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
How about Venmo? Do you guys take Venmo?
Same thing.
If I could do that for you, could we get your job started? All right. I live on a farm, and cash is pretty tight, Richard. Look, I've got these goats. Could I trade goats with you?
Yes.
I'm gonna say the exact same thing because I can find somebody to buy goats.
That's it. If I could do that for you, I'm not promising you that I'm going to take goats. If I could do that for you, could we get your job started? All I'm trying to do is get information here. right? If I could take goats, if I can figure out a way to take goats, could we get your job started? Because what I'm trying to figure out is the objection really goats or is it something else? If I just say, sure, we can take goats, I'm no closer to landing this sale. But if I tell the customer, sure, we could do that, or if I tell the customer, hey, if I can figure out how to do that for you, could we get your job started? Now I have all the information I need, because they might come back and say, well, you know, I don't know, that's 12 grand is still a lot of money. I'm not sure about that. Good, I have to deal with that before I can figure out what I'm going to do with service fees for credit cards or goats or Venmo or Bitcoin or any other type of way that a customer wants to pay for it. Okay? So I'm going to ask a very simple question. All right, when your job's complete, would you be in a position, think of it hypothetically, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you take advantage of one of the payment options? And then listen. And all the details will work out. I'm not worried about the details yet. We're going to get to the details. Now the customer says, can you take credit card? Well, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? Maybe they say, oh, I have Bitcoin. Can you take Bitcoin? Well, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? Then you figure out how to do it. Look, if you can't, let's put this scenario together. All right, Delilah, you come to my house. You put together a $27,000 floor. And I ask you, could I pay you in Bitcoin? What are you
If
going
I
to
could do that for you, could we get your job started?
Right. Okay. So now, what are you going to do with that?
Figure out how to use the Bitcoin to pay for the project?
That's it. Now you're going to go figure out how to do it. Okay, good. And I don't know how you're going to do it, but you'll figure it out. You got a $27,000 job sitting there, and I told you that, yes, I'll do it if you can take Bitcoin. You're going to figure out a way to take Bitcoin. You're going to figure out a way to take Venmo or figure out how to do PayPal or whatever. And maybe there's a service fee that goes with that. I don't know, right? But it doesn't matter. Now you've got a different problem to solve. And that problem, I guarantee you, is a lot easier to solve than just, are we going to do the job or not? Because you can figure out how to do Venmo. I mean, for crying out loud, my business doesn't have Venmo, but look, if you Venmo me, I'll pay for the floor. Whatever, I don't care. We'll figure out a way. Okay, good. Let's move forward. When I ask this question, once your job's complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? The customer could say yes, right? I mean, they just could come right out and say, yes, we're going to do the job. All right, but they could say no. They could give me some kind of objection. Okay, so maybe they gave me a yes, or maybe they gave me an objection. What kind of objections could somebody give me?
Doing more than I thought it was gonna be.
All right, so somebody says, this is a lot more than what I thought it would be. So I'm going to call that a price objection. This is a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, how else could somebody object?
You're not ready to do the job yet?
Okay, so keep in mind that literally 30 seconds ago, I asked a question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the customer told me it only comes down to price.
Yeah.
Now the customer's telling me, well, we're not ready to do the job yet.
They're backtracking.
They're backtracking, okay? So what would I call that type of objection when they're backtracking?
Arlen, is this poo-poo?
I call it poo-poo. I call it poo-poo.
I'm cheating, guys, but yeah, that's poo-poo.
But Arlen, with a finance deal, I've often found that husband and wives or whatever, people that get together with other people like to kind of go over their finances. I mean, I know one of the biggest demographics I ever had, which was crazy. They always had perfect credit, were retired school teachers, husband and wives. They always pay for everything together. But one would put it in their credit, one would put it in the other credit. It always created that sit down. So if you didn't have them there, that was a legitimate excuse where I would say like 90% of the time it would go through. But you know, but I would have to go back on it, which is what I don't want to do in this scenario.
All right, what do you mean? So what objection is that?
Well, it's not an objection, but it's I can't do it right this second because my wife's at work or my husband's on a different shift. Or, you know what I'm saying? That type of a scenario, I consider it legitimate. I don't consider it poo-poo, but it was a pretty common.
But John,
but
30 seconds ago, so we got to put it in context. 30 seconds ago, I asked a question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the guy never said, oh, well, I'm going to have to talk with my wife over anything that we're going to do.
And initially,
that didn't come up.
In our appointment, when we set that up, we were supposed to be asking if all parties were making.
And it doesn't always happen that way, Clinton. I know.
Right.
But
No,
I
it doesn't
think
always happen that way.
I think what John is describing is a payment objection. It's not an objection. They're just saying the person
That's what
is
I thought I was doing.
saying that they're going to pick a payment probably, but they need more information in order to do that.
Okay,
And that's a
good.
discussion.
So maybe there's a payment objection there, right? So it could be, and notice that their price objections and payment objections are different. Okay, why are they different? Well, remember I said that part of your customer base is simply going to look at this number and they make a price objection. Another part of your population is going to look at this number and say, oh man, $330 a month, that's more than my car payment. I can't do that. Okay, and they're not even looking at this number. You guys, so this is, it's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what do you mean they don't even look at this number? That's a bunch of crap. Nobody just looks at the payment and doesn't pay any attention to the total. And then there's a company here, and I mean, they're not just here, they're up and down the East Coast, called West Shore Homes. Anybody else heard of West Shore Homes? I think their headquarters is in Pennsylvania and they're in different places. West Shore Homes is running TV advertisements right now. They will give you a complete new shower for $99 a month. That's brilliant. But they're not telling you what the total is. But we'll make it $99 a month and you get a brand new shower in your home. Who knows what the interest rate is? Who knows what the total is? Who knows how many months you're going to have to pay for it? But they're going to give you a brand new shower for $99 a month. It's brilliant. All right. So you've got people that are going to look at this number exclusively. You've got people that are going to look at this number. So when somebody gives you an objection, you've got to be able to listen to the customer and understand the difference between I'm objecting over the $12,000 price or I'm objecting over the $330 payment. The reason I need to be able to distinguish that in my head is because what I do with it is going to be different. Okay. How else could somebody object?
Well, I didn't think it's going to cost that much.
Okay, so I would call that a price objection. There's two other types of objections.
Maybe the term?
So the term is going to fall into a payment objection.
Okay.
I still have other bids out there.
Time. Somebody said time.
Yeah, time will be an objection.
All right. Now, let me be really clear about time. This is not the time to decide. I need until Friday to think about it. That's not a time objection. That's pushing you out the door. So we're not talking about the time to decide. We're talking about the time to do the project. So normally this comes out like, this isn't something that we would be able to do right now. and maybe you ask them, you even ask them, well, when would you be in a position to do a project like this? And they say, well, you know, I normally get a bonus in January, and I could probably do it with my bonus money. All right, so this is giving you a time, like I can't do the project now, I'm going to do the project later for financial reasons. Okay, that's a time objection. That's different than I need until Friday to think about it. Okay, because Friday to think about it is nothing more than just poo-poo. Okay, the other objection, I'll just throw this one up here, is an interest rate objection. So it might come across like this. Customer looks and says, $330 a month. What's the interest on that? Okay. Does anybody know what the interest is on this?
17.
12.9.
12.99.
And 9.
Yep. So the default interest rate is 12.99%. That's what's defaulted in the tablet is 12.99%. Okay. Does that feel high? Does it feel low? How does that number feel to you guys?
Unsecured credit.
Yeah,
Good.
it's unsecured. That's not that bad.
It's not that bad, right? A lot of people will look at it and they don't really, maybe they haven't financed something in a while. They look at that and say 12.99, that's really high, right? Because I mean, the number just sounds high, right? They're not taking into account it's an unsecured loan. There's no way to repossess a floor. You know, it's a little bit different, right? Okay, but 12.99 sounds high to people. Why do I want? And I actually want it to sound high. I would be very happy if we set it at the tablet at 17.99. Why do I want it to be high?
To negotiate.
Well, so that I have somewhere to go, right? Because if the customer tells me, oh, that's too high, there's no way I could do that. There's no, I mean, look, 12.99, you guys are crazy. I'm not paying 12.99% for a floor. So my response is just like the credit card response. Well, if I could get it down for you, could we get your job started? It's the same thing. And I'm not promising them, I don't know their credit. I don't know if I can get it down. I'm just asking them if I could do this for you. If there's a way that I could get your interest rate from 12.99 to something lower, if there's a way that I could do that for you, could we get your job started? And I'm not promising that I can do that. I'm asking them a question. If I could get that number down for you, could we get your job started? It's the same thing as the credit card or the Venmo or the Goats or anything else. I want to know if that's what the real issue is or if there's another issue that we need to deal with. Let me pause here for a second. Let all that sink in. Can anybody think of a different objection that would not fall into one of these?
Check with my spouse.
What's that, Dave?
Check with your spouse if they're not there.
Yeah, well, that's a poo-poo. And again, it's not, I want to be really clear here, right? Because somebody's going to say, well, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to talk to my aunt or uncle, or I need to, you know, we always pray about this, or whatever. Okay, I'm not telling you you can't pray. I'm not telling you you can't talk to your spouse. I'm not telling you any of those things. I'm not telling you that those are bad things. What I'm saying is, 30 seconds ago, I asked a question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason that we couldn't get your job started today? Now, if you blew through that question, if you didn't ask that question, then it changes the context. Second thing is, if you blew through that question so fast that the customer really didn't hear it, right? Oh, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And they're like, what? No, I don't know. Okay, I mean, you did a drive-by. I want to slow down on this question and really get an answer. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? Well, you know what? I need to talk to my wife. You know what? We always pray about a big decision like this. We always do this. We always do that. Okay, great. That's different because now that's a negative pre-close, and I know that there's something that I need. There's something else in the beginning that I need to deal with that I didn't deal with. But remember, we said that for the rest of the day today, we're assuming that we got a positive pre-close. So other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the customer says, no, it really just comes down to price. Okay? Well, then at this point, I'm going to either make you a liar or a buyer, one of the two.
Well, one thing, that I would find, I have found, in fact, I'm dealing with it on a couple right now, is it would take, I guess, technically be a time, objection, but it's scheduling. Got a couple like water damage, hardwood floors, and they're trying to schedule drywall and then the floors and then this, that, they got several moving pieces.
Good. So how does that prevent you from landing the job?
Well, right now, for example, the guy will not put a deposit down. He's like, you got the job, but I need to pay for this hardwood drywall first.
Okay. All right. So if I could get like $100 just to secure it, whatever, great. I've got to land a job. So now that job's a landed job. I'm not talking about when I'm going to produce it. Scheduling has nothing to do with landing the job. Landing the job has to do with landing the job. I can schedule it whenever you want me to schedule it. You need me to wait until the drywall is done? Fine, I'll be happy to paint it. It doesn't matter. I'm not concerned about other schedules. I'm concerned about getting the job landed. Because everything else we can work everything else out.
I guess I'd have to talk to my franchise owner about if he would take something smaller than 50%. So.
Well, I didn't say take smaller than 50%. Like set it up
Right.
with 3 payments. We'll do a small deposit now. We'll do a little bigger deposit. We'll get a bigger deposit before we order the material, and then final collection at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Placeholder. You're just looking for a placeholder. That's it.
That's it. Looking for a placeholder.
Good faith payment.
Okay. Right now, you have a really, really strong rumor of a job. Right? And I want to turn that into a real job. Okay. All right. It's really important that you can listen to the objection that the customer gives and be able to correctly identify what that objection is. Because each one of these is going to get you a different result. Now I want to show you something. And I'm going to use these same objections that we just came up with. If the customer gives me a bunch of poo-poo, so once your job's complete, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? Oh, my daughter's got braces, and I've got a fence that needs to be done, and the dog just lost a leg, and we got all this stuff going on. Okay, it's a bunch of poo-poo, right? If I can't get the customer to talk about anything other than poo-poo, if I'm stuck in the poo-poo, what is my percentage chance of actually closing this sale?
0.
0. This gives me a 0%. All right. But if I could get the customer to actually start talking about price.
Maybe by the lamp.
What is my percentage chance of closing this sale if I can get them to talk about price?
It increases. I mean, you got now you're back in the game.
50%.
75.
Okay. If I can get them talking about price,
50%.
on average, I've got about a 65% chance of closing this sale. If I can get them talking about time, so I can't do it now, but I could do it when I get my bonus. I can't do it now, but I could do it, when this happens. I've got a 75% chance of closing this. If I can get them talking about payments, my percentage goes up to 85%. If I can get them talking about interest,
90%.
I've got a 95% chance of closing this sale. Why do I have such a high percentage chance of closing a sale? If we're talking about interest rates, how is it that I've got a 95% chance of closing the sale?
Because they've decided that the price is okay and they want to do it, and it's just they have a hang up on the interest and it's
In
the
my
lowest.
back pocket, I have the last part of it to use.
Yeah, in my back pocket, I could make it 0% interest. I mean, I could. Payments? What levers do I, so interest rate, what levers do I have? I could lower the interest rate. How about with payments? What levers do I have? I could take a bigger down payment. Down payment, come on, dude. What else could I do? What else could I do to bring the payments down? $330 is way too much.
Longer
All right,
term.
what else could I do? Yeah, I could extend the term, right?
That's good. Yeah.
What could I do to help them with the time objection? I can't do this until January, but I could do it in January when I get my bonus.
Follow up.
Take a commitment, take a deposit.
All right, yeah, but I can't give you a deposit today. But when I get my bonus in January, I could do it.
0% interest for a year.
I could. Look, I could defer payments, right?
Yep.
I might be able to do 0% for 12 months. No interest, no payments. Okay, good. What about price? What if 12 grand, there's just absolutely no way that I'm ever going to do 12 grand. It's just impossible. What am I going to do with that?
I have options.
Red things.
Hey! Remember earlier I told you that I was going to put together a couple of different options for you? Let's take a look at one of those other options. Okay? This is why I say I don't present all three options at the same time. The customer falls in love with the product, boom, here's a product. The price for this product is $12,000. Payment, payment, payment. And the customer says, oh my gosh, no way. I'm not doing 12 grand for this floor. Remember, I told you that we were going to put together some different options? Let's look at one of those other options. Now I have another option. Now I show them a different price. Okay? That's why that flow is so important. I don't want to give them a good, better, best. If I give them a good, better, best, and they pick the lowest one, and then they say, oh, that's way too much money, I have completely shut myself off. I walk down a dead end road and I've got nowhere to go. So I'm going to present option one. Good. Now I've got all kinds of different options. Okay. So I want to spend some time with you guys talking about how do we move from poo-poo to price. Okay. And then I want to talk about how do we move from price up the rest of the way. And I'm going to break this into two pieces so that we can grab something to eat in between. Give me like 10 minutes and we'll work through this piece, and then we'll grab something to eat and we'll work through the rest of it. So this little exercise here, I just call bridging the gap. And essentially all I'm trying to do, that color doesn't show up quite as well, I'll go red. All I'm trying to do is get the customer to start talking about price. So somebody asked me the closing question. Somebody asked me this question.
Other than price or payment, is there any reason we might not be able to get your project started today?
Dan, it really just comes down to the price.
Hold on, I'm referring to my notes. I stepped into this. I'm going to stay in it.
I promise not. Go Dan.
What? Well, I promise that I'm not going to let price or payment get in the way of getting you the floors you deserve, Arlen.
All right, thank you. Keep going.
You want me to go ahead and flip it?
Yeah, flip the price. I'm trying to get to this question.
Got it. Well, Arlen, what I've done is I've going to show you, we have the project to get started today. We have a retail price of $12,487.71. Now, I did take the liberty to break this down into some payment options. And you can see at 24 months, you'd be at $586.50. At 36 months, you'd just be at $415.65. And at 48 months, you'd be at $330.93. So, would you like to pay? Hold on a second. I got to get you to the big screen. I had you on my laptop. So would you like to, when your project is complete, would you like to pay by personal check or payments?
God, Dan, this has been really good. You've done an outstanding job of showing me exactly what we could do here, and I really appreciate your time. But this is something that my wife and I are going to have to spend some time just sort of talking over. I think, anytime we have a big decision like this, we just really like to take a day or two and just sort of think it over. So is there any way you could email this to me, and maybe we can get back together later this week?
Well, we certainly do that, Arlen, but can I ask you a question? Is this more than you thought it would be?
Bingo. Bingo. So all I'm trying to do, Dan responded beautifully. I gave him nothing but poo-poo. And in order to bridge the gap, all I want to do is get talking about price. So here's a great question. Is this more than you expected it was going to be? That's it. You can ask it a different way. You could say, how does this price feel to you? I've heard people say something like, hey, when I presented I'll be happy to email it to you. When I showed you the price and payments, I could see that you sort of set back a little bit. What set you back? Was it more the price or the payments? Right? Okay, good. I don't care. But you've got to find a question, and if you don't have a question on the top of your mind, use this one. You've got to find a question that moves the person from talking about poo-poo to price. So if you have your own question, ask your own question. If you need a question, this is a good one. Is this more than you thought it would be? Okay, good. So I asked Dan, would you be able to email this to me? Sure, I'll be happy to email it to you. But hey, while I'm here, let me ask you something. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? It's that simple. So what's the customer going to say? Is this more than you thought it was going to be? What's the customer going to, how are they going to answer that question?
Probably yes.
Probably yes. I mean, it's a yes or no question, so they're probably going to answer yes. Because again, in context, 30 seconds ago, I asked them, other than price or payment, and they said, no, it really just comes down to price. And now I've shown them the price, and now we're backpedaling. Okay, well, now that we're backpedaling, I'm trying to understand why we're backpedaling, but I can't ask them, hey, why are you backpedaling? I'm going to ask them, is this more than you thought it would be? Is this more than you thought it would be? And more than likely, the customer is going to say, yes, this is more than I thought it would be. And that's great, because you know what? When they tell me that, in my head, I do a little happy dance. And you know why I do a little happy dance? Because my close rate just went from 0% to 65%, and now we're talking about price. And I got a much better chance of landing it if we're talking about price. So when the customer says, I know for a lot of people, the customer says, yeah, that's a lot of money, that's way too much money. And people go, oh, that's too bad, right? And they get slumped over in the chair and they're like, oh, I'm dead. And in my mind, when somebody says, oh yeah, that's a lot of money, in my head, I do a little happy dance. I'm thrilled because now my close rate just went up to 65%. Now let's see what we can do to close this. because now I'm talking about price. I can't do anything with poo-poo, but I can do something about price because I've got options. I've got 3,000 options sitting in that van. I've got options. I can play with scope. I can do all kinds of things to get the price down, but I can't do anything about poo-poo, and I can't make an assumption. So I'm going to let the customer tell me, yes, this is more than I thought it was going to be. All right. So I want somebody else.
Is it
we're gonna
proper
start-
to ask for the budget at this point? Like what they thought would
We're
be?
headed for the budget. We are headed for the budget. You give me 15 more seconds and I'm going to ask about the budget. Okay. So we're headed there. All right. So somebody asked me the pre-close question. So we're going to start all the way back here at other than. Other than price or payment, then I want you to close or present price and payment to me. Ask me the closing question. I'll tell you right now, I'm just going to give you nothing but poo-poo, and I simply want you to bridge the gap. Is this more? All right, so who wants to run through this? Somebody be bold and brave.
The commitment statement or the pre-close statement?
You're going to start with a pre-close.
Okay.
You're going to do the commitment statement. You're going to present price and payment, ask me the closing question, and then respond accordingly.
Okay. Hey, Arlen, aside from price or payment, is there anything that would stop you from doing this job today?
Mike, it just comes down to price.
Okay, well, I think you're going to like this. The retail job on your is, if I can read, because it's small, is $12,487.71. However, you had a $150 discount because you called 3 of the references. That takes it down to just $12,337.71. We also have some payment options I put together for you. We can do a 24-month at $586.50. We can do a 36-month would just be $415.65, or 48 months at $330.93. So once the job is completed, would you feel better writing a personal check or taking advantage of one of the payment options?
You know, Mike, this has been really good. I appreciate your time. It's just something that we need to think about. So is there any way that you could email this to me and maybe we can get back together later in the week?
Well, sure. Well, let me ask you a question. Is this more than you expected it to be?
Bingo! Gold. Big gold star for Mike right there. That's it. That's all I want to do. I just want to, now what am I going to say? Yeah, you know, Mike, this is more. And we're going to talk after lunch. We're going to talk about what do you do from there. Okay. So we're going to break for lunch here, knowing that Mike has brilliantly moved us from poo-poo to price. And this is where we're going to start. Now that we're talking about price, now we're going to move forward from there. So let's see. I want to make sure that everybody's got a chance to grab something to eat, to do what you need to do, answer some emails, make some phone calls, whatever you need to do. So my clock says that it's 1:20. If we do 40 minutes, that puts us back at 2 o'clock, right at the top of the hour, give you a chance to get something to eat and respond to some stuff, follow-ups or whatever you need to do. So let's meet back at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And once again, close your camera. If you need to log off and log back on, that's okay. But close your camera down, and when you're ready to go, come back in with your cameras open, and I will see you guys back in about 40 minutes. But for those of you that we will see in person next week, so those are the new franchise owners. New franchise owners will be together next week. You can expect, so tonight you're going to do an evaluation over Zoom. You can expect next week that we're going to run practice scenarios in person. So you're going to get some Zoom time this week to hopefully knock out the big kinks. But then next week, we will actually take mobile showrooms to actual houses. and run through evaluations just as real life as possible. So some of y'all have been to Joe's house. We will use Joe's house just because it's close, but we're also going to go out to Alan's house. Alan's house is a little bit further out. His house is up in Cummings, Georgia. So it's about a 30-minute drive from the office, but we'll take advantage of his house as well. And his house is a little bit bigger, so we can afford to put more people up there at the same time. And have somebody focus on the basement, somebody focus on the main floor, somebody focus on the top floor. Good. And if we haven't divvied out who's going where yet, but if I end up going to Alan's house, then I may just sit there and take advantage of his liquor cabinet. We'll see. See how this works. All right, so I think we've got most everybody back. Let's go ahead and get started. So before we left, we did just one scenario where we went through and somebody gave us a pre-close and then walked us through the price and gave us a closing question, and then we bridged the gap to get the price. So who would like to be the customer? I'll do it this way one time and then we'll flip it. Who would like to be the customer? Being the customer is easy. All right, let's see. Portia, you get to be my customer.
Perfect.
All right. So Portia, I'm going to ask you the pre-close question, just the pre-close question. And when I ask you the pre-close question, I want you to give me no, it really just comes down to price type of answer. And then I'm going to ask you the closing question. When I ask you the closing question, all I want you to do is give me poo-poo. Don't talk about price, don't talk about payment, don't talk about time. Just make up something, that has nothing to do with any of those things. It's all poo-poo.
I'll use an example that a client gave to me, so I got you.
Perfect. All right. So Portia, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Oh, no, it's just price.
Well, great. Well, listen, I'm not going to let price or payment stand in the way of you getting the beautiful floors that you love and deserve. So the total price for your project is $12,487. You were able to get in touch with 3 of the people on my reference list. That's great because that gives you a $150 discount, bringing your total down to just $12,337. I never know how people might want to invest in their home, so I took the opportunity to put together some payment options. 24 months would be $586 a month. 36 is just $415, and 48 months would be $330 a month. Once your job's complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options?
Well, I wanted to see if you could just email me the quote. I want my contractor to review it before I get started.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll be happy to email it to you. But while I'm here, let me ask you something. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? All right, done. That's it. So now we're going to talk about price.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to talk about price because a minute ago I asked her if there was anything other than price or payment. Now she's going to try to give me some weaselly answer about contractors and I want somebody else to look at it, whatever else. That did not come up a minute ago. So I know it's just poo-poo. All right. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? Okay, good. So when she says, yep, it's more than I thought it would be, now I'm doing nothing but price. Now I've got price and we're going to move forward from there. So what I want to do to get everybody's brains moving is I'm going to send you guys into the breakout rooms. And in this breakout room, I want you to do what Portia and I just did. One of you is going to be the design associate. One of you is going to be the customer. Now, if you're the customer, you have to play nice. No funny business, Dan. You have to play nice. So that means when they ask the pre-close question, nope, it just comes down to price. And when you give them an answer to the closing question, it's 100% poo-poo. There's nothing else. So just, you know, I need to think about it. Can you email it to me? Whatever. It's all poo-poo. And then if you're the design associate, I just want you to be able to say, is this more than what you thought it would be? Okay. Now, as a customer, you have to be able to give somebody feedback. So if they miss something, if they don't do the commitment statement, call them out on it. I mean, we're all friends here, but friends help other friends get better. So let me open up the breakout rooms here. I'm gonna stop the share. Stop the screen share from the other. Now we'll move into the breakout rooms. There should be no more than, certainly no more than 3 people in a breakout room, and probably more like 2 in most of them. I just want to make sure that my tablet and my whiteboard are in a breakout room by themselves. I think this works. Good. All right, so head into the breakout room. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes roughly so that you can go back and forth a couple of times and get an opportunity to practice this through. All right, team. All right, everybody's back. So how did that go? Big surprises, questions, anything that popped up that you weren't expecting?
No. It was really good. I had a session with Jesse and he was telling me, like, for instance, if both parties are not there that day to make the decision, to schedule time to come back that day while it's fresh in their mind.
Yep, I agree completely. I agree completely.
Now to piggyback on that, I gave Alyssa that line, but it was pure purposeful poo-poo. Because I had already said that, you know, we could make it work financially, but then I countered with, well, we need to wait till my wife gets home to discuss it. Which, you know, led us to the next step, which I didn't know if you wanted us to do around how much did you think a project would cost? We talked about that a little bit, but
yep, we're headed there next.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, we're headed there next.
Yeah.
So I just want you to be really, really comfortable. Well, uncomfortable today, but I want you to get really, really comfortable listening for the customer to just give you poo-poo, because it's going to happen. Somebody somebody that feels like they've got this, be the DA with me. I'm not going to throw any surprises to you. I just want you to hear this play out. So somebody be the DA and I'll walk through this. Let's go, Armando.
Yeah. All right, Arlen. Other than price or payment, is there anything else that will keep you from doing a business today with me?
No, really, it just comes down to price.
Excellent, because I'm not going to let price or payment get away from getting the floors that you deserve and you love.
Thank you for that.
All right, Arlen, the total for this installation and including materials and everything else that we talked about is $15,254. Now you were able to contact 3 of our previous customers, and that gives you a discount of $150. So that makes the total of $15,150. Now, I don't know how people want to pay for the floors or what their budgets are. So I took the liberty to give you 3 different monthly payments that you can make. I have a 24-month for $750, 36 months for $450, and 48 months for $254. I mean, I'm making up numbers right now. Now, Alan, would you be in a position to pay by check, or would you like to take would you like to take advantage of the monthly payments?
Oh man, Armando, this has been fantastic. I can't tell you how excited I am to work with you. I mean, this has been brilliant. You've brought everything in, you showed me everything. I had no idea that you guys would do all this stuff and moving furniture. I thought for sure I was going to have to do all this myself. Man, this has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Can you email that proposal to me? I want to move some money around, and as soon as I get some money moved around, then I'll just give you a call back and we can get started. Does that work for you?
Sure, we could do that. But let me ask you, Alan, does the price came out to more than what you have budget for?
Oh, look at that. He didn't even fall for it. He did not even fall for it. Good work. Good work. So you're going to get it's what I call the Midwest shove off, right? Because the people in the Midwest they're just too nice. They're too nice. And I mean, people in the Midwest will cuss you out, and they never even used a cuss word. I mean, it's different. You go to New Jersey, New York, people just tell you to go F off. But you get really nice people,
You're starting to laugh.
I know.
They've had a wonderful opportunity to work with you, and they don't, you've been in their house for an hour and a half, and you're their friend now. They don't want to tell their friend no. So instead of just telling you to, go beat the streets, they come back and say, everything's wonderful, everything's lovely, but get out of my house. Well, you've got to be able to recognize that and say, no, this is just a bunch of poo-poo. It's either yes or it's something else, and we got to figure out what the something else is, right?
Arlen,
Yeah.
he went right to questioning the price. I mean, and your poo-poo, okay, was basically about shifting money around. Wouldn't it have been better to come back with a 12-month or 24-month same as cash type of offer, which would negate the whole shifting of money around?
Well, you're assuming that I'm telling the truth.
Well, otherwise, doesn't it look like I'm, you know what I mean, pressing him further? I mean, and to drop the price?
I need to know if this is real or is he shoving me out of the house?
Okay.
Right? And so I'm just going to ask, I'm either going to get a yes. Now, one of the other things he could have done, I'm going to move money around and whatever else. He could have stuck that hand out and said, well, welcome to the Floor Coverings International family, right? And then wait for me to recoil and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not ready to sign yet. Okay, so he could have done it that way. Or he could have done exactly what he did and say, hey, let me ask you something. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? Right? Because I haven't said yes. Again, I want you to put this in context. 30 seconds ago, he asked me if there would be any reason other than price or payment. And now I'm talking about having to shuffle money around. That stuff comes out, if you ask the pre-close question correctly, all that stuff comes out ahead of time. When somebody says, no, it just comes down to price, I'm going to take them at their word until I show them the price. And once I show them the price, boom, everybody either becomes a liar or a buyer. That's it.
Okay.
And I realize that, there's some people on this call that are not from the U.S. and it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. You've been in their home and you've been very nice and they've been very nice and they want to be nice to you and they don't want to just tell you no. And so they're trying their best to be polite and just tell you no, but in a very polite way. And the easiest way to tell somebody no is to say yes, but, and then shove you out the door and never answer the phone again. One of the things that's crazy, and our culture is shifting. Our culture is really, really changing because people today don't know how to deal with conflict. And as a result, a lot of people today are conflict avoiders. And so they don't want to deal with, it'd be really nice if Armando showed me the price and I said, dude, I'm not paying 15 grand for this floor. That's way too much. And that'd be really a nice way for me to do that. But too many people in our culture have become conflict avoiders that I'm not trying to be aggressive, but I want to get the objection out. Let's talk about this. Let's put it on, we're going to have an adult conversation about money. Let's do this. All right. So let's move beyond this. All right. So I'm going to get a clean sheet. So if I get nothing but poo-poo, I need to get the price. How do I get the price? I bridge the gap. Is this more? Okay. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? All right, good. So now I'm talking about price. Well, that's much better. I'd much rather talk about price. So now we're talking about price, I want to move this conversation from price, maybe to time, maybe to payments, maybe to interest. Okay, so I want to talk about how do I do this? How do I move this conversation in this direction? And I'm going to use a technique called the walk of life. The walk of life is 3 simple questions. And I know a lot of you are going to chicken out on the 3rd question, so we're going to deal with that one we're going to deal with that one. That's okay. So the question number 1 of the walk of life. So remember, I've already asked the customer, is this more than you thought it would be? Or the customer came right out and said, no, this is too much money. Okay, good. Now I have a price objection. As soon as I have a price objection, the light goes off in my head. Bam, it's time to use the 3 questions of the walk of life. First question. How much
did you think it's gonna cost?
How much did you think a project like this would be? All right, so Azam, you asked me a little while ago about asking for the budget. Okay, well, this is essentially what I'm doing. I'm asking the budget. I'm not asking them, hey, what is your budget? I'm asking sort of in a backwards way, but I'm asking the question, how much did you think a project like this would be? Well, I've had 2 other guys come out and they were half your price. Or, I watch a lot of HGTV and I know everything can be done for free or whatever it is. I don't know, whatever their answer is, right? You told me 15,000, I thought it would be 10. Okay, great. This question helps me understand what the customer's expectations were. Question number 2. Question number 2 says, now that you see the price,
know why we are a little bit more.
Sorry.
That you see what we do. Now that you see what we do and how we do it.
Yep.
I hope you understand why we're a little bit more than the others.
But without the hope. So
Okay.
Now that you see what we do and how we do it, and you see why this is more than you thought. Okay. Now be careful here because there's some traps that you can fall into with this question. First trap. By the way, this is a reminder of our value proposition. Okay, this is a reminder of our value proposition. Now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Or can you see why this is more than you thought? G8, I knew there was something missing in that word. Okay, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought? Well, when did they get to know
Now that you see what we do and how we do.
and what we do?
From the company story.
Yeah, from the company story. So if you chicken out and decide, oh, I'm not going to do the company story today, then you've completely lost the ability to ask this question. Okay? So now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be, or more than you thought? Now there's a couple of traps here, and I want to, this is not a word for word question. In fact, I want you to change this question, okay? Maybe you're talking to a customer that has had a bad experience with contractors before, and they told you know, when you were back in the warm up, or maybe when you were walking the space, they told you of the horrible story of the contractor that really screwed a bunch of stuff up, and it all had to do with how horrible their installers were. So you were very smart, and in the company story, when you went through the installation video, you talked about how you interview your installers, and these installers are like family. Okay, now when I get to this question, I'm going to pepper that in again. Hey, now that you see what we do and you see the way that we interview our installers and that they're part of the family, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay, you see what I'm doing? I'm taking what the customer said before and I'm just layering it in, right? So maybe early in the process, the customer told you about how, you know, years ago they were trying to do a project and they had a flooring company that came in and did a complete, it was completely horrible. They bought one floor, and then the company came and they installed a different floor, and it was a big hassle to come and get them to fix it and whatever else. Okay, so you were really smart. And when you went through the company story, you talked about how we deal manufacturer direct. And so, you know, we have a control over what product comes in, and we check that product before it goes out to the house to make sure that they're getting the right thing. Now you get to this question. Hey, now that you see what we do and you see how we control the chain of custody, for products, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay, you see what I'm doing? I want to change the first part of this question. I want to tailor the first part of this question. Now that you see what we do and how we do it, okay, I want to tailor this to the customer. I don't want this to be the same every time. I want to personalize this question. Okay, and how do I know how to personalize it? Well, because I've had the conversation with the customer. I'm the one that's been in the house for the last hour. Okay, but there's a couple of places that this can bite you. One, I hear people do this all the time. Can you see why this is a little more? How can that word, how can that little bite you in the butt?
It can lead to an unnecessary argument.
Explain that, Axel. I don't disagree, but explain that.
Well, what might seem a little to some may be a lot to others, and that's not the point of the whole thing.
Yep. So I'm not going to use that word. Okay. So when I ask the question, I'm going to look at that little word, and we do it because we're almost ashamed of our own price. The first time you flip a $60,000 price in somebody's home, you're going to be all nervous about flipping the price. Okay. You know what? If it's a $60,000 job, flip a $60,000 price. It is what it is. Well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, you see how we vet our installers and only use the best in town. Can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay, great. The other thing that people will try to do, so this is trying to minimize, which I don't want to do. The other thing that we try to do is we try to get the customer to defend our price. would think that I had the Jack Daniels at lunch. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is the price? Let that sit for a minute.
Well, the customer maybe you didn't build enough value and you didn't explain what we do differently, and maybe they'll be like, well, you're just installing flooring. What's the difference?
That's it. Yep. So if I ask Jesse, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is the price? Well, I'm not gonna put words in Jesse's mouth, but I might expect Jesse to say something like, well, if I knew why this was the price, I would have signed your damn tablet already. No, I don't understand why this is the price. And again, it's going to lead to some sort of a, like Axel says, it's going to lead to some sort of argument. I don't want the customer to defend my price. That's not what I'm trying to do here. All I'm trying to do is trying to get the customer to say, yes, I can see why you're more expensive. Not a little more, not, and this is a fairly easy question to ask. Now that you see what we do and how we do it, now that you see the way that we vet our installers, or now that you see the quality of the materials that we put in, can you see why this is more than what you thought? Not a little more, not defend my price, just can you see why this is more than what you thought? Okay. Now the third question. Now that you've seen the price, how long
would it take you to come up with the rest of the money?
Okay. All right. So what is this supposed to do? This is a question about time. I'm not interested in the customer's financial situation. I'm not interested in what they've got in their 401k, or that's not what this question is about. I'm not interested in getting into their financial business. And when you ask this question in context, the customer doesn't see it that way either. This is a diagnostic question. It is a diagnostic question to help you understand what is the time frame that you're working with. Now, when you sit here right now and you stare at that question on the screen, I know what you're thinking. You're like, man, that seems like it's a really aggressive question. It seems like I'm getting too much into their personal finances and whatever. It does not come across that way in context. When you are in the customer's home and you say, well, how much did you think a project like this would be? Oh, I don't know, maybe 10 grand. Okay, well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than what you thought it would be? Well, yeah, I can see that. Okay, well, now that you've seen the price, how long do you think it would take for you to come up with the rest of the money? This is truly about the time, okay? You can reword the question, I don't care. You can reword it. All I'm really interested in is the how long. This is it. How long? Okay. This is a vital question because it changes the way that we're going to move from here. All right. So picture yourself on the football field and you look out over the defense and you're trying to figure out what play I'm going to run based on this defense. Well, if I don't look at what the defense is, I don't know what play to run. I just go out there and, run for fun. That doesn't do anything for me. I need to understand what it is that I'm up against. And time there's different solutions to different types of time. So how could the customer answer this question of time? You guys tell me. Now that you've seen the price, how long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? How can the customer answer this question of how long?
Well, sometimes they might say, it's not about time. I just think it's too much.
Good. All right. So Azam, what if I say that's just a flat out no? Right? It's not about the time. I'm not paying $15,000 for this floor. Okay, good. That's a straight up no. How else could somebody answer this question?
It
I may say, I don't know.
a year.
All right. Jesse says they might say, I don't know. All right. So Jesse, when they say, I don't know, what are they not saying?
They're
not
not
providing a
saying
time frame.
no, but they're not saying yes.
Yeah, but they're not saying no, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I don't know how long it would take. Okay. That's not a yes, but it's not a no either. So I'm still in the game. Okay. So somebody could say, no, I'm just not doing it, or I don't know how long it would take. Let's go back to the question. How long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? What's the third way that somebody could answer that?
6 months.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to call this a specific time. Okay. And I'm going to take this I don't know, and I'm going to call it unspecific. Okay. So specific time. It might be that the customer says, oh, it would take me 6 months. Oh, it would take me until January. Oh, it would take me until my daughter gets her braces off. Okay, well, is braces a fixed time?
Yes and no.
It's a fixed time. Do you know what that time is?
No.
So what am I going to ask?
How long would it be before she?
When? When would the daughter's braces come off? Okay. So think about this. The walk of life, the third question of the walk of life, how long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? The brilliant thing about this is there's only 3 ways that a customer can answer the question. There's only 3 ways. They can say, I could do it at exactly this time. They could say, I could do it, but I don't know when. Or they could just say, I'm not doing it, period. I'm not going to do this. Those are the only 3 ways they can answer the question. Okay. What are you going to do if they just flat out say no?
You present the second option.
Here we go. Boom. Option. Option 2, option 3, option 5, whatever it is. Good. All right. So let's just move to the next option. Okay. What are you going to do if they give you a specific time? Let's skip down to the third one. You know, I could do this in January. I normally get a bonus at the first of the year. I could do this in January. What are you going to do?
Take the card from the back pocket and use it, which is
all right. What's the card in the back pocket?
That's the no interest for so on period of time. For 12 months, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah, so it might be that I offer a 6-month or a 12-month, no interest, no payment plan. Okay? So this is where having that financing in your back pocket is so important, because I can turn to the customer and say, oh, you could do it in January? Okay, realizing it's in May, right, that we're May right now. Oh, you could do this in January? Well, that's fantastic. I'll tell you what we can do. We'll go ahead and get your project started. Man, we'll have this done in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'll set this up so that you don't have to pay a dime until May of next year. That's way beyond January. That'll work for you, won't it? Right?
I don't know. It's more like a technique than it is the process. But like, can you say like step outside, or tell them I want to step outside, see what I could do, and make a phone call, see what I could do, talk to my boss, and come back and say, my boss allowed me to do this for you? If you
I
do
mean,
this, like take a promise from them?
I don't train it that way. I'm not saying it's wrong. I don't train it that way because the reality is you don't need that, right? You already have the answer. You already know. I know that I've got a 6 month same as cash plan. No, I like calling it no interest, no payment. Same as cash to me sounds like used car salesman. No offense, Dave, but you know, to me that's more of it feels more like a used car salesman. No interest. I like the words no interest, no payment. Okay, but that's okay. It's the same thing. Look, I can set this up 12 months, no interest, no payment. That'll work for you on it. And then the customer knows that they're dealing with somebody that can actually make a decision. So it's not that I mean, you can do it that way. I don't teach it that way because I'd much rather that the customer feel like you guys are in a empowered position to make decisions.
Arlen, what about if I say like the other one with the credit card, if I could do that for you, right? Will you move forward doing the business, you know, with the job today?
You could absolutely do that, okay? But in this case, I know what the answer is, right?
Okay.
I already know the answer. So what is the answer? The answer is if I have a 6 month, or in this case, 12 month, I have a 12 month no interest, no payment plan, and I know that that'll work for you, won't it? So what's going to happen? This is where I'm either turning the buyer, the customer is either going to become a buyer or a liar. Okay, they're either going to buy from me or they're going to continue to make lies to me. Because they just said they could do it. They just said they could do it in January. Go ahead, Roland.
I have a question more about between when you say, well, what did you expect it to be, right? Or whatever that, right? If there's such a big gap between what they expected and what you presented, and then you go to this question anyway, right? You presented me 20. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be under 10 grand. And then you turned around and said, well, how long would it take you to save the 50% that you're off? I don't know that you don't think that can be, look, I just told you I was going to pay half of this and now you want me to save double? No, you know, like it's an aggressive no. It can.
Well, but you know what? I'd much rather get the no out. I'd much rather get the no out. I remember flipping a price to a woman. I showed her I went through the process. I'm a big believer in this process. Does it work 100% of the time? No, it doesn't work 100% of the time. There's no process that works 100% of the time. But I remember flipping a price to this customer, and I don't know, we were at like 20 grand or something. And I flipped the price, and she immediately starts shaking her head no. I mean, she's not saying any words. You know, the total price for your project is $20,000, and she's shaking her head. And payments, and she's shaking her head. Well, once your job's complete, she's shaking her head. Would you pay with a payment plan, or would you take advantage of one of the payment options? She's shaking her head. I'm like, and then she says something to me like, hey, I know you got to pay the mortgage, but you ain't got to get it all from me. Okay, good. So it's fun. All right. So, I mean, she was a little bit hostile at that point because I just threw 20 grand at her. Okay, that's great. So obviously this is more than you thought it would be. How much did you think a project like this would be? Well, the last people that were in here, I mean, they were like 7 grand. And I mean, it was that big of a difference. It was like 7 versus 20. Okay. And I said, that's right. I remember you told me that you had somebody in here before and that they offered you a luxury vinyl plank floor, and we've offered you a porcelain tile floor. Now that you see the difference between a porcelain tile floor and a luxury vinyl plank floor, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Well, yeah, I get it. This is a real tile versus that plastic, but there's no way that I'm paying 20 grand for this floor. I'm like, okay, well, let me just ask. How long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? God, it'd take me 4 or 5 years. Okay, so what did I do? We started looking at payments. Now, in the end, she ended up buying option 2. We did not sell the tile floor. We sold option 2. We worked on payments, and we worked on payments for a while because she really wanted that tile floor. But the reason that we were so much more expensive than somebody else was because we had offered a tile floor and somebody else was offering an LVP. And there was that big of a difference in the price. Once I dropped to an LVP, I was like 8 grand. Okay. Now we're more equal footing, and she was ready to rock and roll. So I'm still gonna work the process. Here's the thing, I guess this is part of just doing it for however many thousands of appointments I've done. I just expect that the customer is gonna react negatively. I expect it. And it doesn't faze me because I know it's coming. I almost, not entirely, but I almost make my number one price so high that I get a negative reaction. Now I'm not coaching that technique. I'm not trying to do that, but I expect it. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, you've got to get good at dropping from option 1 to option 2 because most of your sales are going to come from option 2. You're going to be so high on option 1 and you're not going to navigate the walk of life properly, and you'll end up on option 2. Okay, well then get good at selling option 2. Flip the price on option 1 and then sell option 2. Okay, either way, it's a landed job. All right, so let's go back to the board. No, I've got other options. A specific time, I've got a specific payment plan. What about that customer that says, I don't know, or it could be 2 or 3 years? Okay, well, in this case, I want to go back and look at payments.
Well, how much could you put down today and we get your project started?
Yeah, so now I want to look at, I got to go back to my other sheet. Now I want to go back here, and I want to go into the tablet and ask them, did you have something set aside for a project like this? And in the tablet, you can put that right there. So maybe they had $5,000 set aside. Okay, well, let's do this. With your permission, I'll put $5,000 as a down payment, and let's see what that does to your payment. And then, of course, it drops the payment down. And if that's not enough, then I can always change this number and push that out.
Is that why you don't put a down payment at the beginning, so you have playroom now?
Right. I need it in my back pocket. I want it in my back pocket. Okay. So it's not that I don't want to get a down payment. I do want to get a down payment, but I want to pull that at the right time. Okay. So where are our objections? Right here. If the customer flat out says, I asked the closing question, and the customer flat out says, hey, that's not something that we could do right now. Well, that's a time objection right away. So I don't need to use the walk of life because they've already told me we're already past price. Okay. Or if they just automatically say, oh, $330 a month, that's too high. I don't need to do the walk of life because I'm already at payments. The walk of life comes into play when I'm talking about price. Then I do the walk of life to push this up. But it doesn't make sense to do it if I'm already talking about time, or if I'm already talking about payments, or if the customer's already talking about interest. All right, so I only know one way for us to practice this, and this is to practice it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my tablet screen. And I've already put together 3 options. You've done a masterful job with this company story. I mean, it was just absolutely brilliant. I've got to say, this was absolutely fantastic. And now the customer doesn't get to see this screen. This screen in particular is one for your eyes only. And so you know that you're going to pull up option number 1. So while you've got this screen facing you, maybe you make a little adjustment. We'll talk about that later in the week. Maybe you make a little adjustment to it. Okay, good. Ask the pre-close question. So other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? No, it just comes down to price. I'm going to do everything I can to help you get the floors that you love and deserve. So the total retail price for your project is $13,725. You were able to get in touch with 4 of the people on my reference list, and that's great because that gives you a $200 discount, bringing your total down to just $13,525. Now, I never know how people might want to invest in their home, so I took the liberty of putting together some payment options. 24 months would be $642. 36 months is just $455, and 48 months is $362. Once your job is complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to take advantage, to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? Then we listen. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to run through these scenarios. I want to see who can close something. So to play fair, I've got some index cards here, and I'm going to lock my answer in, and then you're going to try to close me. So I'm going to take a blank card. Who wants to try to close me first?
I'll do it.
Who wants a big stack of hundreds? All right, Azam.
Okay.
So, Azam, turn away from the screen for a moment.
Okay, 1 second.
Just close your eyes so that you can't see. I don't want you to see what I'm about to do. Okay, so everybody else, if he gets me here, then we win, then he wins. All right, Azam. So start with the pre-closed question. I'll manage the tablet for you. Start with a pre-closed question, and let's see how we do here.
Now, Mr. Allen, since we picked the right product for you, and other than price or payment, would there be any other reason why we couldn't start your job today?
You know, it really just comes down to the price.
Okay, great. This is what I have for you, Mr. Allen. Your total retail price for this project came down to be $13,725.42. Now, since you have contacted 3 of our reference list, you earned yourself $150 discount, which brings your total down to $13,575.42. Now that I don't know how people usually pay for their projects, I came up with the other option for you, which is the payment plans. I have a 24-month payment plan, which comes down to be $645.34 a month. Now, the second option, it's 36 month. It comes out to be $457.34. And if you go for a 48 month, it's $364.13. In completion of your project, would you be writing a personal check, or would you be taking advantage of our payment plan that I provided for you?
I tell you, this is a big decision for us. Is there a way that you can email this to me and maybe give me a call later in the week?
Absolutely, that's not going to be a problem. But let me ask you this: how much you thought a project like this would be? Or
well,
let me rephrase to go for Okay. That is fine. I mean, I could email it to you, but let me ask you this: how much you thought it's gonna be?
Well, I mean, I had a couple of other guys that came through here last week, and they were more in the $10,000 range.
Okay, but has it been like the same product that I priced you with? Is it?
I mean, best I can tell, it's the same.
I'm sorry.
I mean, best I can tell, it's the same. It's just, I mean, carpet's carpet, right?
Okay. So, but let me ask you this: now that you've seen what we do and how we do it, do you understand why we are more than our?
Yeah, I mean,
more.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. You're a lot more professional than those guys were.
Okay, well, that is, you know, I hope you understand. I don't want to use the word hope. I take it you understand, and you know, when can we start your job?
I mean, I don't think I'm ready for you to start the job.
Okay. No. Mr. Allen, how long do you think it takes you to come up with the rest of the money?
Well, let's see. I normally 2 or 3 times a year, I get sort of a quarterly bonus, so to speak. It's not really quarterly, but I mean, I should have that kind of money, say, in September.
Okay, so sounds great. How about this, Mr. Allen? If you put a $5,000 down payment, okay, and we finance the rest at no interest for you for 12 months, would that be an option for you?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, great. Let's shake hands for it.
All right. So guys, give Azam some feedback. The good, the bad, the ugly. Again, get comfortable giving and receiving feedback.
Azam, you got to turn it into your own. Don't just read off of what you wrote down.
Well, I'm not reading, be honestly, I'm using this memory.
Well, still, it sounds robotic.
But I'm not reading off anything, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to practice, and that's when.
Yep.
I mean, this is my reply. I'm sorry, but till I get comfortable enough, okay, where I could come up with my own, you know, and every situation it's different. But now I'm in class, I'm using the same wordings almost, okay, to relate to everybody else.
First of all, big 2 thumbs up for being the first one to be brave enough to go. Okay. That's it's always hardest to be the first. So good job for doing that. Other feedback for Azam. What else did you guys hear that you liked? What did you hear that he can get better with?
Azam?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Azam, I could tell that you got a little uncomfortable, you know, discussing where they're at in life with the customer finances. And a lot of the times in the beginning of projects, whatever it's appropriate, I'm not saying to add this to your step, but it does set the stage for you to use those uncomfortable moments. And what I tell customers is, I promise to be transparent with you. When I mention transparency, remember that I'm going to give it to you in full, like in 100% or whatever. Then when we get back to payment, I explain, be as transparent with me as you can, because that's how I can help you move forward. Then it kind of takes the uncomfortable, because you know you're going to bring it up later. Just a thought.
Nice.
Thank you.
What else?
Come on, guys.
I think it's just the repetition. He's getting a lot better and kind of trying to control the situation. At least it wasn't like it was something that was it wasn't a question that he's reading out of a book and it's completely off your response. So good job there. He's kind of tried to stay in control of the situation, and again, with repetition, you'll just continue to do better and better.
Yeah.
And
I would say
I agree with that 100%. Because right here in front of everybody, it's always weird. You always feel weird right here in this group talking to people. But when you get in front of a customer, it really a little bit of that nervousness goes away, and you're just having that general conversation with them.
And I would say, you focus a lot on the product you love, the product you love. When you're at this stage, yes, you're talking about the product, right? But you're really just talking about numbers here. So if you've gotten this far, understand that they do like the product that you've presented them. So now it's just time to hit them with the nitty gritty and the hard details. Like, be upfront with the numbers. Just don't sound so afraid about it, right? Just be like, here's what it is. You're going to take it for what it is. And whatever your answer is as the customer, I have to take it for what it is too. So, going into it, you're going to be very transparent. So I would say just focus on the numbers. Don't focus on, if you've gotten this far, they love the product. So don't focus on necessarily saying that they love the product anymore. Just stay within the numbers.
Love it.
I
love it.
do like how you tried to assume the sale at one point, which is always a big, favorite technique of mine. But I do like how you're like, it was a little bit clumsy, but how you tried to just go ahead. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do this.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So one of the things is you missed doing the commitment statement. So you asked me to pre-close. It was a beautiful pre-close. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started? I said, no, just comes down to price. And then you went straight to price. And giving the customer that commitment, I'm going to do everything I can to help you get the floors you love and deserve. It just takes a little bit of the pressure off. Okay. So you missed that. And then I agree with what Alyssa was saying. You asked me, how much did you think this project would be? You didn't bridge the gap at all. So it felt awkward to go from, I gave you a bunch of poo-poo and then, well, how much did you think this was going to be? That bridging the gap also takes some of that stress away. Is this more than you thought it would be? Oh, it is. Well, how much did you think it would be? And it just helps take some of that pressure off, right? When I told you, well, I thought this was going to be about $10,000, then you got very defensive. At least, I'm not saying that you got defensive. It felt like you got defensive because at that point it was, well, is this the same product that my competitors offer? Well, I don't know. You're the expert. I don't know if it's the same thing or not, right? So and when you have that kind of discussion after you've shown them the price, it can feel very defensive. It feels like now you're trying to take a defensive strategy on your price, and I'm not trying to be defensive. I just want to know how long it would take for you to come up with the rest of the money. Okay. Now, when you came to a conclusion, you came up with 12 months, no interest, no payment, which will work. I had down 6 months, no interest, no payment. So you didn't have to go all the way out to 12. It's okay that you did, but it actually cost you a little bit of extra money to go out to 12 when you only needed to go to 6. Because I told you I could do it in September. So quick math, we're in May, November, good. September fits in, I could do 6 months. I'm still beyond where they needed me to be.
Yeah, but at that point, my brain kind of like overwhelmed.
Yep.
I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't think about the, what really calculating the time frame.
It's good. You're doing it. And again, thank you for being the first one to go.
Thank you.
Because it's always the hardest. Now, who wants to be the second one to go?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Now, who wants to be the second one to go?
I can give it a try if you would.
All right, Axel, turn away from the screen for a minute. Well, I don't know if you turned away from the screen. I can't see you, but you might be able to see me. I don't know. I'm just going to trust that you're not looking at me. That's all right. So he's got to get me here.
Good move, Axel. That was clever. I like your style.
Yep. Yep. All right. Axel, let's go. Start with the pre-close. The pre-close.
All right. Well, Arlen, now that we picked the floor that you want, other than price and payment options, would there be any reason why we couldn't get your floor installed today?
Wow, you're going to install it today? No, I don't guess so.
Right. We could get your job started today. That is ordering the products and so on and so forth.
Oh, good. No, it really just comes down to price.
Excellent. Good. Well, Arlen, I won't let price or payment options get in the way of you getting the floor that you want. Okay. So,
Beautiful. Thank you.
so now let me just show you my tablet over here. And here we have the price for the job that you want for your home is $13,725. Now, were you able to get in touch with any of the customers I gave you on the reference list?
Yeah, I talked to, what was it? I talked to 4 of them.
Oh, excellent. Well, in that case, I can grant you a discount of $200. And by the way, thank you for doing that while I was fetching your samples. And now the price has gone down to $13,525. Now, I never know how my customers prefer to pay for their flooring, whether it is with a check or cash or credit cards, or if you want to take advantage of any of our payment options.
All right, so are you going to present the payment options to me?
Well, if you wish to see the payment options, absolutely. Let's see, we can do it. Oh, sorry, I cannot see the numbers because I got the screen over here with your faces. Hold on. Okay, we have payment options that go from 24 months at $642 per month, 36 installments of $455, or 48 installments of $362.
I don't know, Axel. That's it feels really high to me.
What would that be? The payment options, Arlen?
Yeah, I mean the payments just feel really high to me. I mean,
Oh, but
$362 a month is I don't know. That's I know things have gone up, but that's more than what my first car was.
well, as I told you earlier, Arlen, I won't let price or payment options get in the way. And let me ask you something. Have you budgeted some funds for this project?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had budgeted, but I didn't budget this much.
All right. And how much have you budgeted for this, Arlen?
I mean, I budgeted $10,000.
Well, excellent. With your permission, could I put the $10,000 in the down payment and see what payment options we have afterwards?
Well, I mean, I don't have $10,000. I budgeted it, but I don't have it yet.
Okay. And how much have you separated any money aside for this project?
Yeah, I've got about $6,000 set aside.
Excellent. With your permission, could we put the $6,000 as a down payment and see what payment options we have afterwards?
Yeah.
There, excellent. Okay. Now, as you see, with the discount of $200 that I granted for the referrals you contacted and the down payment that we could put with the money you set aside for this project, you only have a payment. You have a payment option of 24 installments of $357, or 36 installments of $253, or if you want to go for 48 installments, it's just $201.
Yeah, I could do that.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Well, in that case, welcome to Floor Coverings International.
All right, good. All right, so I actually I overshot myself. I was at $250 a month, and we got even lower than that, so that's good. All right, so feedback for Axel. How can you smooth this out for him?
The more you tell me, the better. Nothing's more expensive than going to a customer's and getting turned down. So feel free to say anything.
First of all, I'm going to tell you that I love your flow and your accent is beautiful. So it makes your flow even prettier.
That's kind. Thank you so much.
When you were presenting going from price to payment, obviously stopping and assuming, that you already gave them the information they needed was probably not the best thing to do. So bridging that together and having that be one presentation, I think would have been a little more impactful.
And I think just taking control, I get it. I do it a lot too. You are very respectful and you ask to present the payment options and things like that. Don't ask permission for that stuff. You're the expert. You have an agenda while you're there. So, when you're saying personal check or payment options, here's the payment options that I have laid out, and then wait for the rebuttal. Like, you're in control. Just keep pushing through until the customer is going to force you to make a dead stop and be like, hey, whoa, I have a problem. I have an objection, right?
Good.
Thank you.
Other feedback? Well, Axel wants this. He wants this. He knows that this is what's going to help him land a bunch of sales. So let's give it to him. I'm not saying be ugly, but give him the feedback.
Nothing is uglier than getting turned down at our customers. Believe me. Nothing is more expensive than that.
It's
One thing that I would have done is, when you're trying to show how you can, like, okay, what did you put it down? And this is more of just a way you say it's not, there's no particular like correct way or wrong way to do this, but giving the impression to the customer that you're trying to help them out. Like, hey, I've got an idea to help you here. Like, this is what we can do to help you.
I think I have a comment when he presented or asked about the kind of payment would they like to use, like personal check or go with the payment options. He threw out the credit card and other options, and he didn't keep any of his cards, in the back to use them later on when the customer asked for those options. He just laid them out there. I mean, that's my comment.
Good. Good
to
catch.
get something in
So
return for.
Yeah, so Axel, you know what he's talking about, right?
I suppose that some payment options are more convenient for me as an owner than others. And for the sake of keeping the ones that are more convenient for me at first hand and setting in the back seat those that are not so convenient for myself. Is that what he was referring to?
No, so what he's saying is when you asked the closing question, you said, would you pay with a check or a credit card or with a payment option? Or, you just threw a bunch of stuff out, right?
True.
Throw out two things. Would you pay with a check or would you take advantage of the payments? That's it. Wait for me to ask about credit cards. Wait for me to ask about Venmo and PayPal and Goats and all the rest of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you have two ways. I'm not saying you only have two ways to pay. I'm saying that I only want to show the customer two options. Check, payment options. And that way, if the customer says, well, do you take credit cards? Hey, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started?
Right.
I'm baiting the hook. I'm baiting the hook.
Right.
You just threw all the bait into the water. Okay, good.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with Mike with regards to, the customer feeling like you did something for them. So I probably would have started at $4,000 or $5,000 for the down payment so that they felt like they were getting something back, and maybe didn't have to put all that money down. And that would still give me room to move if I needed to.
That's a really good one. Thanks, Timothy.
Good.
Axel, also use the word love instead of like. Because if you're talking about product and something that they like, well, I like coffee. I don't love coffee.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Right.
Good.
That's a really
All right.
good
One
one.
other thing that
Thanks, Jesse.
one other thing that I'll give you, when you, I agree with the comments that have been made. When you presented price, this is important. Present price and payment, right? So you're going to present. This is what your price is: $13,725, 200 off, $13,525, and here are the payments: 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, right? It's like you waited for me to ask, what are the payments? So present it. Boom. There it is.
Right.
Price and payments.
The reason for which I hesitated on that is because I did not know whether you wanted to pay with a check.
But
or
you don't
take
know
advantage.
that until you presented. Right? You don't know. So present, this is your payment. This is how this is what I've worked up for you. Here's your retail price and here's your payment options. Now that you've seen the price and the payment options, would you want to take advantage of the price or would you want to take advantage of the payment options, right? Here are your I'm giving you two options. I'm showing you this is the price and here's your payment. So do you want to
Right.
pay this way or do you want to pay that way?
Right. Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you all very much. Appreciate that.
good. All right, who's next? Step up to the plate. Somebody knows they can kill it. Somebody knows they can kill it.
Oh, I don't know if I could kill it, but I'll do it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Armando.
Armando. All right, good. I lost you on the screen for a second. All right, so all right, look away from the screen. Okay, let's see what you got.
All right, Arlen, thank you for having me in your home today. I really enjoy working with people just like you, help them with their flooring needs. Other than price and payment, is there anything else that will keep you from starting the job today?
No, it really just comes down to the price.
Excellent, because I'm not going to let price or payments get away from you getting the floor that you love and deserve.
Well, thank you for that.
All right, Alan, with all the work that we talked about and the flooring that you picked, the retail price of this project is $13,725.42. Were you able to contact any of our from the referrals list?
Yeah, I was able to get in touch with 4.
Oh, excellent. So you were able to contact 4, so that will lower your, that will give you a discount of $200, which will lower the price to $13,525.42. Now, I don't know how people are going to pay for the flooring or their budget is, but I took the liberty to put up a payment plan for you for 24 months, $642.96. 36 months, $455.66, and 48 months at $362.79. Now, Arlen, once we finish the project and you love the work that we did, would you be paying by personal check or would you take advantage of the payment options?
And I tell you what, this has been phenomenal. You guys are fantastic. I think I told you earlier that I'd had 2 guys in here last week that were, that were pitching their wares. And I mean, one guy shows up in jorts and the other guy, he's wearing flip-flops through the house. And I mean, you guys are just the most professional group of people that I've ever seen. Is there a way that you could email this quote to me?
Yeah, Arlen, we absolutely could do that. But let me ask you a question. On the price, do you think this is more than what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, to be honest, yes, it is more than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, I respect that. Let me ask you how much you thought the project will, like this and everything that we do, will come out to.
Well, I don't know, because it's so weird today. There's people that, there's all kinds of people in the world and they're doing all kinds of crazy things. And I mean, I was hoping that it would be less than $10,000.
Okay, I see, less than $10,000. All right, and how much did you actually budgeted? Like if you were like to leave a down payment today?
Oh, I mean, I don't know that I would leave a down payment today.
Okay, I see. Now, I know you said about $10,000. I know I showed you some other options that we have, and we might be able to get to that price for you. Will you be interested in? I can go ahead and show you those.
Sure.
See if you look at those. All right, Arlen, I see that you picked up this floor, and actually that one is $9,738.72. And with the $200 discount, it comes out to $9,000 $538.72.
That we can do.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Floor Coverings International.
Option 2, baby. He got there. All right, it was a little, so I want you guys to pay attention to something because it was a little messy, and we're going to talk about how to help him clean it up, right? But in the end, he got to the same place. And when I say it was a little messy and I want to help him clean it up, you know, things are going to hit different with different customers, and that's okay. I'm trying to teach you a process that works, you know, 80-90% of the time. I'm trying to teach you a process that you can commit to memory, and it gives you a path to be able to walk down. But the reality is you can get to the same place using different paths. And he got there using a different path. So I want you guys to give him feedback on what he might have missed or where he sort of detoured from the path, knowing that, you know, in the end, he got to the same place.
My thought was, you know, when you said, no, it's just way more than I was expecting. I would think well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, you can understand why we might be a little more expensive than what you were originally thinking.
Without the little more.
But yeah, that's right. I crossed that out and I still read it.
Yeah.
But I did like that he threw in, you know, he asked the customer but advocated for the company at the same time, you know, and I don't really think Arlen was able to answer it, but it was almost kind of like, well, what did you like, right? Like, what did you like so that maybe we can move into option 2? Like, what did you like about option 1 that maybe we could get to 10,000 or under, right? But would be a necessity within option 2. Right? And I think that was kind of the way that he detoured and realized that he detoured, but I almost kind of liked it because then it gave you as the salesperson, you know, ammunition per se to go into option 2, what to expect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, different paths will get you there. I'm not telling you that this is the only way to sell. It's not. There's 1,000. I mean, look, go to YouTube, go to Spotify and pull up podcasts, whatever. I mean, there's 100 ways to do this, hundreds of ways to do this. I'm teaching you a method. Now, this is a very effective method, but as you see, Armando closed it, you know, and he took a little detour and he got there. Good. All right, who wants another one? All right, John, I got to come up with a good one for John. So let's go back here. We'll assume that I got 4 people on the reference list. And have a lot of faith in John. We're going to see if he can get me here. All right, he's not looking. All right, let's go, John.
Arlen.
Sir.
Other than price or payment, is there any reason that we couldn't get your job started today?
John, it really just comes down to the price.
Okay. Well, let me promise you this. I'm not going to let price or payment get in the way of the flooring that you and your family love and deserve. Okay?
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to show you the retail price of what we laid out and what we decided what was your fit. Okay. The retail price is $13,725.42. All right. Now, how many of the reference list people were you able to reach when I was doing the measurement?
Yeah, I got 4.
4 of them. Oh, wow. All right. So that's $200. Well, that's going to bring that price down to just $13,525. And I never know how my customers like to pay. So I took the liberty of creating some payment options as well. Okay. Through financing, all right, at 24 months, that would be $642. 36 months, $455. And at 48 months, $362. There's also a check, okay, that you could write. You could do a credit card. At this point, what is it that you're interested in going forward with?
I think it's something that we just have to think through.
Oh, really? Okay. Why do you say that? Let me ask you this. Was this a little bit more than you had thought it would be?
I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, frankly, it is a little more.
Okay, I understand. Did you have a budget going into this?
Not per se.
Money set aside for the job?
Yeah, I mean, we had some. We've got some money set aside. It's just, I was honestly, you know, like I said before, we're trying to get this house ready to sell, and I don't know. I
understand.
It's one of these things that you know, I'm looking at this and I'm like, do I think I'm going to get the 13 back out of it? I really wanted to. I don't know. I really wanted to be able to stretch this out a little bit.
That's not a problem. Sometimes cash is king, and I appreciate you giving me that feedback. There are a few options we do have. When were you looking to move out of the house? I mean, move the house actually. When were you looking to put it on the market?
We'll probably end up putting it on the market. We'll probably end up putting it on the market towards the end of the summer.
Okay. And they're selling pretty quick in this neighborhood. I mean, as I came in, I mean, I see a lot of real estate moves pretty quick around here. What if I were to be able, if I could, would you consider a 6-month same as cash option where you could conserve your cash and then after the sale of the home be able to go ahead and extinguish that?
And what's the interest on that?
It would be same as cash. There would be no interest, no payment. It's deferred.
Well, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that all day of the week.
Then welcome to Floor Coverings International.
So we sort of ended up taking a little bit of a detour. All I really needed was 9.99, but you gave it to me for free, so I'll take it.
All we had was 12.99. So didn't you say that? I wasn't going to go back to my franchise owner and ask him to shave 3 points.
No, look, shaving 3 points off the interest rate is cheaper than 0% interest.
Sure.
All right, good. So feedback for John.
My feedback would be the presentation of the payment options where we were looking for check or payment, just the 2 options, and you gave them 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same. You know, you could pay with a check or with a credit card or with a payment. I mean, once again, you're showing a lot more than you need to show.
Okay.
And I love holding credit card back because I expect that everybody comes to me and says, well, we want the points on our credit card. Do you guys take credit cards? And then it opens the door for that question, right? I mean, I'm baiting them. I mean, I'm baiting them to ask me that question.
Right.
I would
Other
say
feedback.
when you are, you know, asking the questions to kind of figure out what the actual objection is or what the solution is, you want to kind of be direct with getting the answer without going all over the place, because then it does kind of throw the customer off to thinking, okay, is this person just trying to get the sale right now? And they do back out right then and there. So it is important to kind of dig into just what they need. Is it okay? Is it the payment? Is it the interest rate? Not, you know, how much did you think? And, you know, even though we will ask that, it's when you start asking too many questions and it's not going directly for the answer that you're looking for, that's when it can get very salesy.
Good, good. Anything else?
So to
thing
pick
is
up on
about finding
Arlen's
out.
point, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just kind of same thing about really digging into what the objection was. As far as, you know, instead of going straight to price, you kind of skipped over could the payment be the issue? Because that would have led you to possibly an interest rate. You know, if you ask him, well, what was too high? Is it the payment, or is it the price that you're worried about?
Good.
And just a point of learning, I think Arlen tried to kind of make this. He was purposely leading you to think about financing, right? And financing options. This may be a little premature because you don't have the benefit of the full scope of financing options available to you, or more than anything, what that might cost you. Your play to go to try to solve them with the sale of the house was a good one. But to Arlen's point, the cost of buying down the standardized payment from 12.9 down to 9.9 to your margin is arguably cheaper than it would be for the dealer fee on, you know, no interest, no payment. Right?
Unknown.
So,
Yeah, that was an
yeah.
unknown factor. Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't have that knowledge, but just for the benefit of the group, you know, that's where Arlen was trying to take you, and you went there. You got there perfectly. But that'll be one of your factors as you're sitting there thinking through financing options. And again, I understand this is a little premature for the moment, but you know, keeping in mind the suite of options that you'll have relative to potentially the cost that those options are going to present to your margin on the close, right? So
thank you.
Mr. Arlen, as a DA, what is our flexibility on changing like interest rate and so on, like changing a little bit, like, or modifying the price? Do we have any flexibility, or it's
that is
because
a
sometimes
really go ahead.
When you're dealing with the customer, you have to come up with quick decisions to close the deal, right? And the customer wants to hear those decisions like right on the spot, because you can't delay it. If you gonna go and ask or get back with them and all that, you give that room for them to think, or you leave that time like for them to rethink it. So you want to be quick. So is there any flexibility for us as DAs to modify any of these options?
So as the trainer of the Inspired Sales System, I can show you how to change it on the tablet, but I can't tell you what your boundaries are. That is a question for you to ask your franchise owner. That is not a question that I can answer in terms of how much latitude do you have, and you know, where can we go with this? What I will share with you guys, I'm hoping that this will make it, let's see, I hope that this will make it maybe a little bit more clear for those that haven't gone through this yet. Let me switch screens here. Now, I will tell you that every one of these finance companies is different. Okay, so I'm going to show you Foundation Finance. This is a recent version of their rate sheet. But I can't tell you that everybody is the same, because they're not. Different companies do different things, okay? And this is a conversation that you need to have with your franchise owner for what it is that they're willing to give you. Now, I will share with you what I did with my DAs, only to give you a reference point, okay? So Foundation Finance, for example, they've got different tiers. Okay, that's great. Different tiers of customers. You don't know what tier the customer is. You don't care what tier the customer is. But they have, like for tier 1 customers, they've got a 10.9% APR, which is free. There is no dealer fee. So why wouldn't you offer a 10.9%? I mean, it's free money. Why not? Okay. Tier 2, 10.9% is free. So let's just stay with the tier 1 for the moment. If I buy that down to a 9.9% interest rate, that cost the franchise owner 2.5%. Okay, but if it's a $10,000 job and you get some kind of deposit, whether it's a $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 deposit, you're not paying 2.5% on the whole job. You're only paying 2.5% on the portion that's being financed. Okay, so that why not 8.9, 7.9? But I would even tell my design associate, yeah, if you need to get down to 7.9, get down to 7.9, but at least try to get half of it as a deposit, so that on average, I'm not paying 7% for the whole job. I'm paying 3.5% for the whole job. Does that math, are we tracking with that math? Right? Okay. So I'm not scared of a 7% dealer fee if you got half of it as a down payment. Why not? I mean, it's easy money. Okay. Now they've got some other things too. Like here's a same as cash with monthly credit. I mean, with monthly payments, same as cash with deferred. So there's nothing whatsoever. Here's a no payment, no interest. Well, 6 months, no payment, no interest, 9.5%. 12 months, again, this is through Foundation. Foundation is much more interested in payment plans, and they're not as interested in no interest, no payments. So no interest, no payment, my gosh, a 12-month no interest, no payment is 16%. So John got me down to 0% interest. That cost a lot more money than a 9.9 would have cost.
I just gave my franchise owner a heck of a haircut, didn't I?
That's right. Okay. Now, but I tell franchise owners, you need to have multiple companies. You don't want to stick with just one, and I'll prove it to you. So I've got to find this. Now, granted, this is an old version. Okay, so I know that this is an old rate sheet. Find it here. It's an old rate sheet. I'm sure that things are very, very different today, so that's fine. This is a company called Green Sky, and this is a company that I used to work with. Yep, 2016. It's an old version. That's fine. So you'll see they've got a no interest, no payment, 6 months, no interest, no payment, and the dealer fee is only 2.5%. Okay, well, that's why I want to have multiple finance companies. If the customer says, yeah, I can do 6 months or even 12 months, there's my 12-month no interest, no payment for 5%. Well, it might be that if they're going to do something that's financed, 10.5% interest, if I get a 9.5% interest with Green Sky, 9.5% is going to cost me 4.35, but it's free for Foundation. Or I can do no interest, no payment, but it's really expensive with Foundation, but it's only 5% with Green Sky. So different finance companies have different ways of doing this. Okay, it gets very complicated. So I don't want it to be complicated. I want to tell my design associate something that's very, very easy. Very easy. So I want to tell you, if you're my design associate, this is what I want to be able to tell you. I want to be able to tell you, I'm giving you permission to do a 6-month or a 12-month, no interest, no payment. And if you're going to do 6 months or 12-month, no interest, no payment, I want you to run it through Green Sky. That's easy enough to remember.
Yeah.
And if you want to do a payment plan, you can take payment plans out. Let's see what Foundation does. Because again, I just want to be like, this is the way that my brain would work. If I'm going to do Foundation, where'd it go? Here we go. If I'm going to use Foundation, I'm going to say you can go down as far as 8.9% with no down payment whatsoever. If you need to get down to 6.9, you can get down to 6.9 if you can get half of it as a down payment. So that's what I'm going to tell my DA. You can go that low, right? I'm not going to give you this whole sheet and make you decipher the whole sheet. That's too complicated. I'm just going to tell you, you can get down to this far, or if you get a down payment, you can go even further. And that's all I want to do. Just give it to you really, really easy. And let's see, how far out can you go? installment terms are out to 240 months with finance, with foundation finance, and with Green Sky. I think they went out as far as 84 months. Most of them were 84 months. You actually could get all the way out to 144 months for a little bit more. So I tell you up front, hey, I'm happy with you if you go to as far as 120 months. I just want to give you some boundaries, right? So putting all this together, you want to do same as cash, 6 months, 12 months? Fine, you can offer same as cash if that's what the customer needs. Just run it through Green Sky. Everything else, I want you to run it through Foundation, and you can go as low as this percentage, and you can go this far out on the monthly payments. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know all this nonsense.
Arlen?
Yeah.
That begs one more question for me, and that's, are there generalized minimums on these things?
Yeah, normally it's like $1,000 minimum.
Yeah, I don't want to take it this long. Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Yep. Now, I don't know what finance company you're working with. Have no idea, right? And every one of them's different. So meet with your franchise owner and find out who am I working with and what programs are you comfortable with me offering. And that's it. And for the franchise owners that are on this call, I want you to take mental note of this. Take mental note of this. If you print this out and hand this to a design associate and tell them good luck with this, I'm going to shoot you in the face. Okay, not really, but I'm not going to be happy because you're making it more complicated than it needs to be. Find a way to make it simple, and you can hand your DA some simple rules and let them go sell. I don't know of any DA. We can even poll these guys. Is there anybody on this call that is not interested in selling? I don't see a single hand go up. No, is there anybody on this call that is interested in selling? Yeah, look at that. All the hands are going up. At least everybody that's still awake. It's good. Okay? So at the end of the day, your job as a franchise owner is to make this as easy as you can for the design associates. And financing is one of those things that if you offer financing for your customers, it helps your design associates sell as long as you don't make it stupid complex for them. Just make it really easy. Good. All right, let's see. I want to do a quick run down through the list and just see what sort of open questions you have from today, and find out if there's anything that's left wide open, right? So I'm going to start with Roland. Roland, any burning questions from today?
No, I wouldn't say anything burning. No, I think it was a good,
Okay.
it was good to watch everybody kind of go through and stumble through, and I think you get a lot out of that personally. So
Good, good. Michael Forte.
Nope, nothing that's burning.
Okay. Dan Adkins.
No, I hope second time's a charm. I certainly understand it more this time around, less distractions, and having, to be honest with everybody, failing in the field and then having this is actually pretty valuable because you know what the heck the context is, whereas before it was pretty abstract.
Yeah, it's pretty academic the first time through, right?
Right.
Good. Let's see, Clayton. Burning issues.
No, I think, I guess one of the big things that kind of all of us need to do is get with our owners and make sure that we understand what financing options that we have so that we are acquainted with that one. So, I mean, because there's no reason for us to go out and offer financing options if we have no idea what we're offering.
Right. Yep, that's your next call, right? Is find out when you guys are doing your evaluations this afternoon, ask them, hey, what do you want me to do when it comes to financing? What have you got?
And on those evaluations, now, like, will Scott have this and he just filled, will he have this already? Or do I need to forward this to him?
Have what?
The evaluation.
He's got it.
Okay, because we're not filling these out. He's filling these out on us, right?
Right. He's filling it out for you and giving you feedback.
Okay.
Good. Let's see, Alyssa. She's muted, but she says no. Good. Let's see. How about Sam?
Oh,
Nope, Sam, it looks like Sam's shaking his head. All right, good. How about?
No questions.
All right, how about Anthony? I can't see Anthony's face, so.
I'm right here. I'm moving.
I don't know. All we see is your background. We see the virtual background. I don't see your face.
Oh, well, no pressing issues. I don't know why my face. I'm moving. I think when I go in and.
All right, let's see. How about John Hester?
No, thanks. A lot of good info today.
Okay. Mike Conrad.
I mean, a lot of it's just, making it my own and doing what works with my personality. Charles and I are we've been talking about finance stuff since I first started. We just haven't got anything really nailed down on that yet.
Okay. All right, let's see. Is Josefina still with us? I don't see Josefina. I've got two screens, so I'm going back and forth. How about Axel? Axel, you're muted there, sir.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, lots to learn, lots to practice.
Yep, a lot of practice. Good. David Lee.
No, I think Dan summed it up, and this is kind of our
Second round, and there's a lot more that's really coming into play that I'm developing more of an understanding for. I remember the first time when it was literally Dan said it. He's like, "Oh yeah, bring him through the walk of life," and I'm sitting there like, I shouldn't raise my hand right now and go, "What the heck is that?" And then like looking back through my notes, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, there it is." And then just using that out in the field, it's awesome, because I don't think anyone ever gets those questions. They just have people that are like, "Okay, well, too high, I'll just lower the price and see what sticks."
Yep.
No, I like that this engages the customers to think about how things go, and so yeah, I like it.
Good. Armando, Rockstar.
Yeah, this was great. I loved it. Arlen, I think you're awesome. Is this more than you thought it was going to be? Oh my God, how many emails estimates have I sent? I'm embarrassed to say, about 3 or 4. And this is going to help me a lot. So I'm really grateful. Yep. Thank you.
Present that price in the home, because you can't have the discussion on email. If it's too high, they just don't respond. Good. Amelia.
I don't have too many questions, more so just questions for the owner on finance, and everything else I feel pretty good about.
Good. Portia, how about you?
Like Dan said, second time is the charm. So just retaining everything. So yeah, no questions.
All right. Tim?
I'm all set. No questions. Thank you.
All right. John?
No way. Last time I opened a can of worms, I'm not asking nothing.
Come on. It's not that
No,
bad.
I'm following along. It's great. It's fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Delilah.
I don't have any questions, but I went from like a 6 to 7 on confidence to a 7 today. So.
All right, we moved it. We moved a half a point.
Hoping for an 8 tomorrow.
If we move a half a point every day, I mean, look, good stuff. Good stuff. Jesse, how about you?
No, I thought it was good. It's always good to hear different perspectives of how other people react to different questions and stuff.
Good stuff. All right, let's see. David. David's had some trouble with his internet today, so I appreciate you bouncing on and off, whatever you had to do.
My apologies, team. I got some great stuff from today. I don't have any questions, but I did want to give a strong shout out to Kelsey. Kelsey was a little gun shy on her payment discussion, and she helped me with adding something to the process on the referral discount. So I wanted to say thank you to her. And Kelsey, reel it in. And honestly, if you slow down with that smile and your empathy, you're gonna rock it. Thanks, everybody.
Ready. She's ready. Good. Let's see if we got Patrick. There he is.
Yeah. Just
love the presentation, and I love the questions to get to this, the certain, at the home, you get the, right answers and, really kind of shake the customer and feel them out. I like all the feedback.
Nice. Azam.
It's a lot of information for sure. I mean, it's been great. A lot of info to digest and chew on, and make it your own or make it my own as I was given the feedback. It's excellent experience today.
Good.
I have you answered the question that I had to somebody else, but I came at the end for the feedback sheet. How do I get that for Owen to fill it out?
I sent it to you, and I sent it to Owen very early this morning, so it should be in your inbox.
Okay. Do we need to print it out, or he could do it on his phone or his tablet?
He could do it. He could do it on his laptop. He could do it on his tablet. It would be kind of hard to do on the phone. But Owen has done this before, so he should know exactly what to do.
Okay, great deal. All right,
Good.
thank you.
And I think last but not least is Kelsey.
No burning questions, but really got a lot out of today, and looking forward to doing my evaluation.
Good stuff. All right. So team, tomorrow we are back live at 11 o'clock Eastern time. I am really looking forward to going through the evaluations tonight and seeing exactly what you guys have learned and where we need to focus tomorrow. I've got 2 or 3 things that I absolutely know that I want to cover tomorrow, but I will tailor tomorrow's class and the next day's class based on what I see in these evaluations. That's why they're so important. So by all means, have fun with it. This is the perfect time to make mistakes, and have some fun with them, right? It's a good time to do it. You guys have a great night. If I can be of any service to you whatsoever, you know how to reach me. And otherwise, I will see you at 11 o'clock Eastern tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Harlan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have
all.
a good day, guys.
Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.